We're all here. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Yay.
Natalie, upper right,
Hi.
Jennifer, bottom right, and that's actually Beth, bottom left there, but that's what she's working on. There's Beth. Yeah, there's Beth. So we're all here. Thanks for joining us here on World Embroidery Day. Really glad to have everybody, and I'm sure. Oh yeah, people are joining quickly here, so that's great. Um, so appreciate it. Going to be fun. We're going to just for 3 hours. We're just going to talk and stitch. We all have something in front of us to stitch. Natalie's got a bunch of stuff to show us. We get to see some prick and pounce and some painting on ground cloth. Natalie's going to demonstrate that. So get your pen and paper out because you're going to want to make notes. We all just scrambled for pen and paper so that we can write down what we learned. But Natalie's already set up a prick and pounce thing, so you'll get a sense of how that works. And so it's going to be really fun. But stitch away, ask questions. Please ask questions. Feel free at any time. We're all three, Jennifer, Beth, and I, watching the comments so we can get the questions in. And then I know Natalie has sent several photos of some pretty cool stuff, so we'll see those. And then Kathy and Barbara also a ton of photos. So you'll get to see a lot of really interesting things this afternoon. Please ask questions. Do not hesitate. It makes it fun for everyone if we have the questions. So fire them at us. And I'm just going to shut up and put it to Natalie and let you have at it here. So let me switch to a full Natalie. Hang on, I'm going to switch to a full Natalie. It's going to be very exciting for all of us.
Yay.
There we go. There's a full Natalie. First
off, I want to say,
Talk up here. Let me put Fiber Talk up here. There we go. All right, now go.
Go? Okay. First off, I want to say, I feel this morning I was a little bit emotional thinking about how special this day is actually, because embroidery is something I do every single day. It drives me. It's what makes me happy. And I'm so delighted that there is a kind of a World Embroidery Day where we can just come together and share this passion that we all have. And we all have the passion for it on different levels, but it's something special and meaningful for each of us. And I think an integral part of the lives of everybody that's watching here. So thank you for having me to share a little bit of my passion with you today.
Hey, thanks for doing it. We always learn from you. We always learn.
Oh, good. Well, one day I'll run out of stuff to say, but I'm still full of it for now. So what I thought about when Gary asked me to come and be one of the three speakers today was that I could share something that I'm just starting off right now. It's something that's been in my mind for a long time, and I've been doing quite a lot of research and learning about it. And I'll just talk you through like how I'm getting to where I am, and then show you my stages of doing the design transfer. And I thought for World Embroidery Day, how about I start a brand new project? So, but brand new stitching means a lot of thinking has already gone into this piece. So I've been learning a lot about Renaissance art and, the art scene at the turn of the century of the 1500s. So, what was happening, 1400s, 1450, and, the painting innovations there, and then how this influenced needlework, and in particular, how a technique called ornuet came about. And of course, when you're looking at ornuet from this time period, you're looking at religious pieces, ecclesiastical, really grand ecclesiastical pieces on copes and altar frontals, altar dossals, chasubles, dalmatics. So, but what my interest on those pieces is the fabric, the folds of the fabric and how they're portrayed. So if you look at the paintings from that time period, they all of a sudden got really good. And the needleworkers of the time wanted to be able to portray fabric that they were embroidering also in this way. So hence ornuet came about. And the piece that I've decided that I wanted to try and do some needlework of is from the set of vestments called the Golden Fleece vestments. And in particular, there's this scene here. This is about 1 meter high, and it's from an altar frontal of the Golden Fleece vestments. It's about 1 meter high. And I wanted to look at the folds of fabric down here and how could I stitch that in the technique of ornuet. So now I'm going to switch to my other camera and I'm going to show you where I got to with that. I'm not doing a piece that's a meter high, by the way. I'm doing a little piece.
Chicken.
Yes, I have to dedicate the rest of my life. All right. So,
While Natalie's switching, I'm going to do the commercial for her. She has a new Ornue class coming up, and there are 2 or 3 slots left. So if you're interested at all in Ornue, you'll learn a ton. Get in on that, but you'll want to get signed up fairly quickly here so you can get materials before it starts. There's your commercial.
Thanks, Gary. All right. So as I was saying,
Let's see. It didn't switch over.
Oh, right. Sorry. How's that?
Yep, got it.
Okay. So this is just a detail of some of the embroidery on the liturgical vestments of the Golden Fleece. But in particular, I was looking at the stitching in these 2 altar frontal and dorsal here, and looking at this piece here. So this is 3 meters by 1 meter approximately. It's slightly bigger than that. And then the detail here. So I said, okay, how can I? What part of this do I want to do?
Back up. Go back to the original. So those panels. Oh, those are the center. Okay.
So I'm looking at the largest pieces. So
yes.
This piece here. Okay.
Yep.
And so then I thought, what part of this is interesting in terms of fabric? You know, should I do this piece here? Should I do this piece here? And what I ended up doing to decide is I've made some photocopies, just some black and white photocopies. And I've kind of pinpointed areas that could be interesting to stitch. And so from that, I took 2 areas that I thought would be interesting.
Okay, Natalie. So this is then an exercise to see if you can execute with Ornue and get those folds and shadows and gradations that are shown in this piece. Okay.
Exactly, because this piece here, this is stitched in Ornue. So I want to do this in Ornue as well. Okay, so you have to do a little bit of studying, right? You have to look at the dark and the light and the shading. So I've just done a few sample kind of exercises to see which is more interesting to stitch. And out of these 2, this is okay, but it's just 1 color. I thought this would be more interesting. These are 2 robes. So you've got the robe of St. John the Baptist here and the robe of Mary here, as you can see here. So it's this corner here. And then, so once I decided that, and I looked at my, all the color placement, I had to trace. So as I said, I'm going to do this. So I had to trace this onto vellum. So I just popped that down and I traced it onto vellum. And the only lines that I put are the major lines. And then the next step after that, well, you can see, maybe you can see on the back here, there's holes all over those lines. So,
Okay, and you're just tracing just with pencil.
No.
Oh.
You could use a pencil. I used this Micron archival ink pen. I like this color in sepia. So I traced just the main lines you can see there. And then to get that tracing onto my fabric, I did the prick and pounce technique. And I like that technique sometimes I don't. But because my fabric is already framed up tight in my frame, so it would be very difficult for me to do the light box transfer method because my design is not pressed against my fabric as it would be if you used a light box or a window. So I've decided on the prick and pounce method, and all I've done is you can just take a needle. You can hold it in your hand or put a needle in the end of a cork. And then I went along my design lines and I made a hole.
About how often? How many holes do you put in? Like a lot, a little?
Right. If I have this is a fairly long straight line here. So this is spaced about 4 millimeters apart. But when I'm getting into like smaller details like here, I've got the holes a bit closer together because I want to be able to see where the lines are going to be when I do the pounce.
Sort of like connect the dots.
It's exactly like connect the dots. So imagine I've gone over this whole design and I've pricked it with a needle, little holes. And you don't want a huge needle,
right, now,
but you need a needle big enough.
Let me get in on here, Natalie. So we when we put the vellum down, then we're squaring it up with the weave of the fabric, and I assume you attach it in some way, so it doesn't move around.
I just put magnets. Actually, I put a magnet here and a magnet here, but sometimes I'll put a straight pin, just down, pin here, pin here, pin here, pin here, so I can lift them off easily. Because when I'm ready to take the vellum off, you don't want to be faffing around and shifting the vellum. And this is pretty heavy vellum because I want to have the option to use this multiple times. And if I've used a really kind of flimsy, lightweight tracing paper, it's not as durable. So I could probably do prick and pounce with this, 10 or 15 times. So I don't have to redraw the lines every time.
Right. Okay.
Does that make sense, what I just said?
And then all you're doing is piercing the vellum.
Exactly. So I actually normally would put like a velvet board or just a little cushion or a piece of felt underneath. And then I'm ready for my next step.
Yeah, Beth, it's only 5 minutes. It's a quick thing. Don't worry about it.
Oh yeah, right.
I mean, depends how big your design is, right? But for me, I don't go with too big, crazy designs. So then let's imagine that I'm going to transfer this to my fabric. I'll take a scrap piece of fabric, which has disappeared. Of course it did. Aha, it's on the floor. So normally imagine this is my fabric, my plain white linen fabric, and it's nice and taut in my frame already, okay? And I put this on, I kind of square it up with my grain. I pop my pins in or my magnets if I'm going to use magnets. I will get 2 magnets, excuse me. Okay. So usually I put a magnet at the bottom and a magnet at the top. Then I make sure it's nice and flat. Then I take some of this stuff. So what is this? This is a mixture, it's called Pounce. It's a mixture of ground up charcoal and cuttlefish, so black and white. And you can use it just black or just white, or you can mix it together to make this kind of gray version. So you can see one time I must have been doing a white one. There's my white Pounce. Here's a black bit there, and here's the gray that I used earlier. So all I do is I put some on a pad of any sort. I like to use this just like a piece of felt that I've stuffed with some, teddy bear stuffing and put a string around to make a nice little ball. And I'm going to make little circles all over my design. And I'm trying very hard, put some more on, trying very hard not to shift around. My vellum. Now let's pretend I did the whole thing. I'm going to very carefully take off my magnets or my straight pins if I've used that instead.
Someone asking your favorite source for Pounce.
I get them from lots of places, actually. If you're in Canada, you can buy them from World Embroidery. She makes her own, actually. She grinds up her own charcoal.
This is also a quilting technique. And so for tracing, you can buy these things for quilting, and they sell Pounce in like a little container and stuff in the quilting section of stores.
Perfect. So yeah, maybe a quilting shop. I mean, in the UK, you can get it from Golden Hind. I think a lot of places sell it, but those are the places that I get from the most often. So you can see here, there are little kind of dots everywhere now, right? Now you need to connect those dots and make it a stronger motif so that you can actually work with them. So let's see. Here, this is what I did this morning. I transferred the design onto my white linen, and you can see all my little dots. And now I need to go through and I need to connect them. And in my case, I'm choosing to use watercolor paint to connect them. You don't have to use watercolor paint. Sometimes I use like just this archival gold gel pen. Something like this is easy to work with. Sometimes I'll use this back to this Micron pen. Recently, I've learned to transfer designs onto velvet, and with paint, it's quite nice on velvet. So about the paint. So here's the paint that I mixed. You can see the consistency there. So what is that paint, right?
Right.
I'll show you. I've just mixed together 2/3 yellow ochre and 1/3 Chinese white and a little bit of water in a cup. You just make up as much as you need. You don't need very much. And you need a teeny, teeny, tiny paintbrush. So this is the one I used. You can see how small that is. And actually, if you look really closely at this paintbrush, it might be hard to pick up on the camera. If you look right there, you can see that I've actually cut off some bristles to make my paintbrush even smaller. So a really nice fine paintbrush. Then I dip it in the paint.
And this paint is just acrylic?
It's watercolor.
What? Oh, what? You said that.
I like
you said that. Pay attention, Beth. Come on.
Sorry. Well,
Somebody's taking notes.
So why watercolor instead of acrylic?
Oh, that's a good question that I don't know the answer to. It's just what I've always used. I've learned that watercolor and gouache are the two recommended types in the manuals. And when I went to the RSN to learn about design transfer, that's what they had me using. Okay. One nice thing about watercolor is if you make a mistake, then sometimes you can take a Q-tip or just a little bit of napkin. You can sometimes gently get it off. So now here you can just, be hypnotized for a while and watch me connect the dots. And as I'm doing this, sometimes
covering them.
Yeah, this entire thing is going to be covered. You're not going to see these lines, but these are my guidelines. So yeah, they don't need to be super thick. You usually strive for pretty thin lines, but down here I did a bit too big of a line here, but it's fine. You're not going to see this. It's going to be completely covered in gold. So I need to do this step. And then after this step, I'm actually going to remove the excess pounce. So you can see that there's like a little bit left over, right? And while I'm doing this, I kind of refer back to, this and this to make sure I'm really am painting the lines on where I want it to go. So I can see that there's a line here. There's a line here. I got one going this way, kind of like that. So Gary, you tell me if this is like getting too boring for you, and then I can switch to something else.
Not in the least. Jennifer, you were going to say something and then we didn't get you in.
Oh, the Pounce stuff is made to like disappear. Like, because if you do it for quilting, you pounce it on, it's kind of made to rub off. So I can see why you do have to do the, this pen transfer or the line drawing.
Afterwards.
Because otherwise it'll rub away.
Yeah, definitely need that other step. So I'm actually going to turn it over and kind of beat out the extra pounce with like a little baby brush once I'm done the paint step.
Well, that's interesting to know, because I would have been afraid of that stuff, that I'd get it everywhere and it'd never come off. So it really isn't that much of an issue then.
You know what? I've never had a problem of it making a big mess. And even afterwards, like once I kind of beat it from the back and get rid, if there's some left over, just take some good old painter's tape on the front and and that gets rid of the last bit of it. And I'm not putting a ton.
Yeah, the only ones I've had trouble getting off was the well, I use, for hand quilting, I have those roller pins that roll the chalk on, and the yellow can be tricky to get off. But I don't know if they make the Pounce that you poof on like this in yellow or not. I think it's usually blue or white. For the quilting, if you buy it from the quilting.
I'm totally green about quilting.
Yeah, it's the same exact technique. You can even buy little patterns for hand quilting that already have the holes in, and all you have to do is get the Pounce and poof it on.
Okay.
All right.
So you don't have
Mary
to do your own hole punching.
A quick question. Mary wants to know, will we use Pounce in Natalie's Ornue class?
It's going to be an option. The students can transfer the design how they wish. Okay. Some students are like, this is way too scary. I do not want to do this. But you can see it's not so bad, right? I think I'm done. I think I got all the lines. And now I just go back to my pattern to double check. Did I get all the lines? Let's see. I think so. Do you guys spot any missing ones?
No, this isn't nearly as ominous as I thought it was.
Okay. So that step's done. Now I'm going to take this off, and you know what? I'm going to switch over so you can see what I'm doing bigger. There. Yep. Okay. So I'm going to take my frame here. I'm just going to turn it upside down. And that should have to kind of loosen it out a bit. And I can see on the front that there's a couple of little bits of black still on there. I mean, in this case, it doesn't really matter because it's all going to be covered, but you kind of don't want it smudging around too much. So at this step, I would take some of this green tape. And you want to make sure that your paint is dry if you've done the paint method. I've seen that mistake happen before.
That's your pro tip of the day right there. Wait for the paint to dry.
Make sure your paint is dry. But I put on such a thin line absorbed into the fabric there, it dries like in 1 minute. So, ta-ta. And then I'm going to paint on the fabric with some color. So if you look at some historical pieces of Ornue, you can see that there are underdrawings, and the underdrawings are sometimes colored with watercolor or other substances. For my students, I recommend, if they're not comfortable with paints, I recommend that they use pencil crayons, or some people don't know what I mean when I say pencil crayons, but I'm talking about coloring pencils. Is that a word you would use in the US? Coloring pencils?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. We call them pencil crayons in Canada. So, just like these pencils that are colored. So you can color in your fabric with just something like this. And students often ask me which brand. I say, well, I'm not set on a particular brand. I like these ones, Derwent. Oops, I'm not on the camera there. I'll switch back and I'll show you that camera. But the Derwent brand is nice, but I think any basic pencil crayon will be fine. So now I'm just going to take off this tape here. And I'm going to color or paint. So let's switch camera. Okay, so that's looking pretty good there, would you say?
Oh yeah.
I've got my protective tissue paper. I always keep that on because you just never know about your grubby hands and how you're gonna, mess up your fabric there. So as I was saying, you can have the option to use pencil crayons or you could use paint. Now I've already figured out which color of threads I'm going to use. So here is I'm just gonna zoom out a little bit. So you can see I've got like a collection of, gradation from dark to light of the browns and the kind of the umber and the madder for St. John's robes and then Mary's robes here. And I kind of roughly tried to match those when I did this painting. So it's, all kind of comes together here. But when I do my underdrawing and my underpainting, it doesn't need to be exactly like this. But I do want to add a bit of color because in Ornue, the background shows through a teeny tiny bit in between your rows of couching. So I'm going to put rows of gold back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I'm going to cover those rows of gold. So I'm going to cover those with those silk threads that you saw earlier. So if there's any space between my rows, it's nice if there's an underdrawing, and it also serves as a little guide for me. So, right. Now, before I put that paintbrush to my fabric, so I've just got this paintbrush here. Before I do that, I often test out just kind of on the bottom corner, do I like that shade of blue or, this, here I was testing how wide is my paintbrush to help me know which width of paintbrush I should use. So just going to get a bit of probably Prussian blue would be nice. Let me test.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good match. Now I look back at my picture and I just kind of go, okay, Mary's robe is around here. And I'm not going too wet.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how do you keep it from kind of bleeding? So it's very little water?
Very little water. And I'm actually not even going to paint right at the edge there. I'm going to kind of stop around here.
Do you know, are the Derwent pencils you're using Inktense?
No, they're not that. No, I think Inktense is another kind.
Okay, because Derwent makes
I don't have
Inktense.
Inktense.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't. I think it's a whole like another brand entirely.
Okay, no, it's Derwent makes those. So yeah,
Derwent
that's why people were asking.
Inktense? Okay.
Yes.
It doesn't say Inktense on it.
Okay.
I mean, would it say it right on it if it was?
It does. Yes, it would. It would say right on there. And they do make other kinds of colored pencils, and that's why that was kind of in the comments. People were kind of asking if that's what you were using, the Inktense brand of Derwent.
Right. So,
yeah.
I don't think so. Oh, that's a bit dark. So I want to say my darker for in here. I can see that there's definitely some dark in there. And if it's too dark, I just wet my paintbrush. I can kind of, or I can even sometimes just take a bit of kind of like thirsty tissue and I can lift some of it off. So.
But even if you make errors painting, it's not that great of concern because it's going to be covered.
Exactly. So
obviously you don't want to make a train wreck out of it, but occasional errors is not going to kill you.
No, I mean in Ornue, no, because your entire background is covered. So the point of this is to provide you with like a little guide for where do you place your colors? Where am I going to switch from blue to red? Madder. Where's my darkest part? So there's some dark there. There's some pretty dark in here. So you don't want this white glare of the fabric to come through your rows of passing thread that you're going to couch down later. So let me show you here if you wanted to switch to this. So I've got quite some darkness happening in here.
So were you
Just a coloring
originally just
pencil.
using paint? So Natalie, were you using paint at first and now you're switching to pencil?
Yeah, I'm just showing you the option of paint and pencil.
Okay.
Because some people, they say, well, I don't have paints. How am I going to do this? So I'm showing you another option with pencils. So just so you know, I'm coloring directly on my fabric here.
Does that make you nervous, Gary?
You can't imagine. You can't imagine.
But like you said, you can give yourself a break because it's all going to be covered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still creeps me out.
Yeah. Okay.
Now,
So that's kind of fun.
I assume that these pencils, then you don't have to worry about the color flaking off or anything, or it just is pretty stable once it's on there.
It is. I haven't ever had a problem.
Okay.
So you know what, Gary? There are two pictures which would kind of be nice to show. Actually, there's one, and I've labeled the picture.
Ah.
Sorry,
folks.
I
Sorry,
just looked
folks.
up and was like, no sound.
Okay, got to go back and talk about the St. Barbara again because I think that I cut off the sound, Natalie.
Okay, yeah, no problem. I was just saying this is a piece that my mentor, Marie Reneotis, she stitched, and she left it unfinished so that her students could see the steps in working an Ornue piece and her design transfer. So you can see at the very bottom there's just the line drawing, and then over top of the line drawing, she added color just with these coloring pencils like I showed you, and then she does her needlework over top. And then if you switch to the other picture, you can see the top half, which is actually her stitched version.
So this is really illustrative of how much your paint or pencil is a guide more than recreating the art and then stitching it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so back in the day, the pieces that I'm looking at from the 1400s, the embroiderers worked on fabric that had the design transferred and colored in for them already. So, I mean, the top artists of the day were doing these design transfers. So, you know, particular in these golden fleece vestments, in the literature, they're saying, well, it could be Van Eyck who did it, or someone from his school of painting, or Van der Weyden. So, I mean, and these are the big names of the time in the Netherlands. So they're not 100% sure who did them, but they can get an idea from the style. So all that to say is that the embroiderers weren't also coming up with the design, transferring it, and coloring it themselves. And so in my classes, I'm asking you to come up with the design, transfer it, and color it yourselves as well, because unfortunately we can't hire a painter to do it for us.
Yeah.
Wow. So
okay, now I'm
if
going to
you
move
go
on
down,
to the.
Gary,
I'm going to move on to the ornaments here.
yeah, the one called yeah.
There.
So you can see there's a work in progress, and you can see the underdrawing in the background that I've done. I've colored the green there, the red, and the purple, and I've followed this painting that I made. So I do my painting to know where do I want my lights and my darks, and then I look at that painting when I do my underdrawing and my underpainting, color it right on the fabric or paint it right on the fabric, and then go crazy with the stitching. And you can see it building up row by row and all the different colors of threads that I need to make this happen. So if you want to see a finish up version of that, you have to switch back to me, Gary.
Okay. And I'll make sure we're not muted. Whoops. Wrong one.
Oh,
Okay, there's
it
Natalie.
says lost.
So, here you can see it shining in the light here. So here's a finished version on silver thread. And that one I'm going to work on gold thread. Right. So all that to say.
Lost sound again?
No.
Have we?
That
Okay,
showed
I don't
up
know.
right before you switched it back. So maybe the part when you were showing the pictures, the sound got lost.
Okay.
No. Shouldn't be muted. Show the
Okay.
picture again, please.
Me?
Yes, you.
This one?
Yes.
Yeah,
there.
I was just saying, this one, you can see, this one flat plane of light, which is what's kind of a fun thing about Ornue. It's like on and off and on and off. Flick the switch, which is something quite special about this technique. It's not broken up. And so you can see the transfer of, the highlights and the lowlights from looking at my design. Now, I've been showing you pieces that are, fairly complicated, but there are, for a beginner, you could start with something very simple like the point blanket, Gary. Maybe you could show that one. And then I'm going to show 2 samples of my students' work of Ornue that's pretty outstanding. So there's one with, very simple kind of getting used to working in a straight line. This one here. So some of you, particularly those who live in the northern US, and of course all the Canadians will recognize this as the Hudson Bay blanket, the point blanket, with blocks of colors and no shading, but just getting used to working in straight rows and couching a lot where there are blocks of color. But I thought it would be fun to not just show my work, but my students' work as well. So if you want to go to the raindrop, it's actually called Icy Blue Freshness from my student, Jeanette Marco. She's done a very modern version of an Ornue piece, but looking at shading. So she took my Ornue course, and we spent the first couple of weeks of the Ornue course is just looking at light and dark, looking at paintings, identifying where's the highlights, where's the lowlights. And then this is the motif that she chose to do. So she found the design, and she colored on her fabric, and she came up with this, which is brilliant. And then, more in a less modern, like a still life, there's Ruth Mills. She stitched one called Royal Gala. And
okay,
very reminiscent of an apple.
Just a second here, Natalie. I got to enjoy this drop. This one is beautiful.
It's quite large, actually. It's
Look at that.
maybe this big. And for Ornue, that's big. Ornue takes forever. She sent it to me so I could practice judging it. And because I'm working on my needlework judging certificate through the EGA. And when I got it, I said, "Whoa, this is big, Jeanette. Well done for you."
I mean, this is beautiful. And then she did such a nice border on it, too.
She did a beautiful border. Nice finishing. All around, I gave her top marks.
Okay, I'm done drooling now. What was the one you wanted to show?
There's another one called Royal Gala by my student, Ruth Mills. And hers is reminiscent of a still life. And she very cleverly worked the background with purples and, shades of browns and reds to kind of get the reflection of the apple on the table. And she did a really good job thinking about color placement in this. So that one if I remember correctly, it's about the size of the one I showed you about the ornaments. I think it's about this big as well. So, all that to say, although we're looking at pieces that are religious in nature, nowadays people are stitching Ornue in all kinds of subjects, which is interesting, but it's nice to look back at the traditional pieces to know kind of what was the inspiration for those pieces and where did it come from? How did it develop at the time? And what can we do with it today? So the new piece that I'm starting is just a study of a historic piece because I find that fascinating, fabric folds. And I mean, you could take a dress, a modern dress, a piece of fabric like this, and you could kind of scrunch it up and you could try that. That could be fun too. So that was kind of my my little spiel about Ornue.
All right.
It's not, I mean, it's only one stitch. The whole thing is done with the couching stitch. And a lot of the work is the pre-work, looking at your design and saying, where are the colors going to be? And then being able to stitch in a nice straight line for your whole design. And of course, turn the corners.
Yeah. Wow.
So this is fun. It's exciting. I plan to go to Vienna. These pieces are held in Vienna, the Imperial treasury. So I'm just waiting for travel to get easy so I can go and look at these pieces that I've been studying so much.
Yay. Yeah, take a break there. I want to, you sent some museum pieces and I want to look at those, but would you show that cherry piece? I just got to see that.
Oh, yes. Yes. So I'm always a learner, and I
You
I see something new.
I'm putting that under your camera, or are you going to just hold it up?
I will.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm always a learner, and I see something new and I want to try it out. So I have been studying some of the work of Cynthia Jackson, and she does a lot of working with plate and then adding silk over top of it. So I asked her, I said, Cynthia, you have to tell me, how do you do that? I'm just going to close this up to protect it. And, I want to try making something with the technique that she studied when she was reproducing the broder's crown, of laying plate under here and then
switch. Got to switch
silk.
cameras.
Oh, right. Sorry. There we go. Is that good?
Yep, got it.
All right. So let me come in a bit closer. So maybe if I just tilt it a little bit, you can kind of see the plate underneath, and then there's burden stitch over top. And that's quite a nice little, so, it looks like a modern motif, but a very, old technique that was taken from the Tudor times, and just put a little bit of a modern twist on it. So, that's this little fun thing that I have been working on lately to add new stitches and new techniques to my repertoire, because there's so much that we can learn and keep doing. And I just finished it in a little clock, like a clock mount, and put some felt on the back. I removed the clock face and popped my embroidery in instead. Much more interesting than a clock face.
Yeah, if you follow Natalie's Instagram, you'll see this work in progress. She posted several pictures. It was fascinating to watch it develop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of teachers now are teaching great online courses. So, kind of so much that you might want to learn is out there. And Cynthia is one of them, another great teacher. So I have her to thank for that.
Yeah, that's such a neat piece. Can you talk a little bit? I'm going to switch over to these museum shots that you sent, because there's some stunning work. So
yeah, let's go.
Oh,
what museum
right.
is
So
this?
beautiful.
Right. So this is the Imperial Secular Treasury in Vienna, where those two altar pieces that I showed earlier are from. So right there in the depth of the picture, you can see the altar pieces. So you see how big they are, right?
Yeah.
And then beside that,
Yes.
there are three copes that go with those altar pieces. So you can see these three glorious copes that are part of the set of the Golden Fleece vestments. And in the next picture beside that, Gary, it just kind of pans around the room, and you can see a dalmatic, a tunicle, and a chasuble. So all of those pieces are part of the set of vestments known as the liturgical vestments of the Golden Fleece, and they're in Vienna. So originally they were in Brussels. And then during the French Revolution, they were brought to Vienna for safekeeping, where they've been ever since then. And about 20 years ago, they were put on display. And they're just a magnificent set. I mean, the extant set that is the most magnificent from that time period that you can still see today. So I have wonderful students who send me pictures of their trips to go and see them, but I haven't laid eyes on them myself. Hence, I want to try and get there this autumn.
These are incredible. These are incredible. And this is now, dumb guy me. This is all in Ornue.
Yep.
Holy smokes!
So I think I can. They're amazing. If you between the two pictures, you get that pan of the room, and just the size of them, and and the embroideries on the front and the back of the wearable pieces.
Wow.
I can't imagine how heavy they are.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, so they were made approximately 1430. I have a few pictures that I can show you of some of the details in one of my books here, Gary. Let me go.
Okay. Just amazing. I'm so glad they were saved. So much of this, I'm sure, has been lost through the years.
Oh yeah.
And then this GF3. Now this is a close up.
Yeah. So exactly. You can see all that beautiful. You can see. I mean, gold and metallics during that time period had this mystical sense to it. This otherworldly, and so gold was used to kind of show this divine light, coming through these pieces, which were, always ecclesiastical at the time.
Oh, here's the portion you're going to do, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Wow.
And I have found, and so see the little white dots there along the edge of her robe, Gary?
Yeah.
Can you see that a little bit? Those were
Yeah.
actually pearls, teeny, teeny, tiny pearls. And I've been able to find some vintage beads, tiny. And so for those of you who are beaders, I'm not a beader, but I'm learning. These are size 18 and 20, which whenever you come back to me, I'll show you what they look like. But I can't get pearls that small, but I have been able to find some vintage beads that have like a pearl finish, which I'll stitch all along the edge. So there were pearls on here and some gemstones as well, like sapphires in the crown. If you scroll up to her head, you'll see there's some, semi-precious stones in her crown there.
Because they could.
Yeah, why not? I mean, the order that they were made for, the Philip the Good from Burgundy, it was very wealthy, when he commissioned them. So he had money to put into these pieces.
I mean, even pearls up on the architecture there in the background. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting to read about the restoration reports of this. And of course, the pearls lots of them have come off over time, and they restring them and, secure them, each pearl one at a time, to try not to lose them. But I don't think I think the last big restoration was, the last big report that I have is from the 80s. I think it was 87. So I don't know what's been done to them since 1987. But I think the plan was that they would stay there and not be moved anywhere, and not, be shared with other museums, just because they're so fragile and they don't want anything to get damaged or moved. Because how museums, they often share things for exhibitions.
Yeah.
I don't think these are going anywhere.
The beard detail is amazing. Wow.
Yeah, so the faces and the hands are not done in Ornue. Right. They don't do faces and hands in Ornue. Except in this set in particular, something special. They've done Christ's face, not on this piece, but on the chasuble. They've done his face in gold because in Ornue, because they want the divine nature of metal, of gold, to be shining through his face, which is interesting because you rarely see faces done in Ornue. Mm-hmm. Instead, they've done like a split stitch for the hands, the face, the hair.
When we see this image, I can see why you chose that area, because you can see the challenge there of replicating that. Yes,
you've got the pearls, you've got the two colors, and that line, that little kind of S shape in her robe on the bottom right, mm-hmm. there, left there, it just appealed to me.
Yeah.
And I thought if my plan would be that whenever I finish this in like a year from now, that I would love to walk students through the process of this. And I didn't want them to get bored of just one color. So
Yeah.
give them give them two robes to work on.
Right. Okay, going to come back to you because you were going to show something when I came back to you. So, okay, there. Now I'm back on you.
Right. So I'm just saying about the pearls. I've been able to find these are size 20. They are so tiny. I don't even have a needle that's going to fit through these. So I need to find the world's tiniest needles. And I do have tiny needles. I've got, Japanese couching needles, but I'm going to have to figure out how am I actually going to attach these replica pearls. So I chose, 3 whites of the vintage that I could find, and hopefully those will work. But anyway, some of the pictures that I have are from this book here. And I'll just show you a few. So here's another detail. So this is
someone was asking.
Now you can. Yeah.
A really quick question. Do you know what the little animal was that St. John is holding in the arm? Was it in Ornaway too?
Oh. No, it wasn't. I mean, it should be a lamb. But it's not in Ornaway. I think I have a detailed picture of it here, actually. Not this one. Just a moment. Aha, here it is. And I'll just come right down into that.
Yeah, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit too.
So Ornaway, it needs to be going straight across. So there is some directional lines happening there, and it doesn't look like Ornaway. I mean, it could be, but from this little tiny picture, it looks like it's couched with something else. See, this is why I need to get there myself with my magnifier glass. See, because there is a variety of things happening. When I go back to the other pictures, you'll see, here's all the like split stitch happening in the flesh here. There's pearls attached along this piece here. There's some diaper patterns happening over there, which I can show you in a bigger picture later. But it looks like it's like some kind of gimp, but it might not be. It could be Ornaway going on this angle like this. So shall I report back once I come back from Vienna?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, now that
we want to know.
Now that we know you're going to Vienna and you're going to see all this stuff, you're just going to have to do a show. I mean, that's just.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would love to. I will.
Yeah.
So this is a detail from the piece as well. And you can see the clothing here. This is all very, traditional Ornaway, all this stuff here. And here they've switched up a little bit over the rows. They've done burden stitch instead. And then back to Ornaway here, burden stitch here. And then they've kind of done this kind of shell couching pattern in the background. And this is all the split stitch in the face. So all of this would have had an underdrawing to really help the needle worker. And sometimes the needle worker who did this part was not the same needle worker who did this part, because you can imagine this is a different skill set here to do all this very, delicate silk shading here. I guess if you're really good, maybe you did both, but it's often
So quick question.
Different. Yeah.
What's the book you're referring to? What's the name of the book?
Okay. Right. I'll just put back on the cover there. I just zoomed in a bit too much. Sorry. Let me adjust this. Okay. Now the cover. So I ordered this from Vienna. So it's called Masterpieces of the Imperial Secular Treasury, Vienna is the title of the book.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you can go on to, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce this word here, but this is the name of the museum.
Oh, come on, Natalie, make an effort.
You go, Gary. Come on.
No.
So, and it's this one is volume 2. So, Yeah, it's a great, because it doesn't have just the golden fleece pieces in there. It has all the things that are in the, the Imperial treasury there. So, I mean, nice, really great detail here of the ornue happening in the clothes. And then, of course, you've got the diaper patterns happening here in the background and here as well. And this amazing silk shading. So this is out of my comfort zone here. I can do this, but another lifetime. And you can see, the pearls, the variety of sizes. And then here, I'll just show you a few. People might recognize this. This is kind of a famous image of ornue that's floating around. Lots of people who've written about gold work and ornue. They'll show this picture here, just because of the beautiful fabric, the robes there that they've done. It's really incredible. So this is on the hood of a cope, the cope hood. Those 3 copes that were going across the room, the semicircular pieces. Like this. So you see here, in here, there are 3 of these things that are made, these copes, and there's one, it's called, the Cope of Christ, and the Cope of the Virgin Mary, which is this one, and the Cope of John the Baptist. Still, amazing ornue. This is going, one thread across, back and forth, adding the color. So what a treat. And here, how I was saying that faces are rarely done in ornue? Well, here's an exception to that rule. So this face here, there's gold underneath his face. I'll just zoom in a little bit on these. So a lot of the literature on these vestments are in German, so there's not so much written in English. And I am working on translating a German book right now from the turn of the 19th century. So I have one from 1850s, one from 1867, one from 1912. In German has taken me forever because I don't speak German. Anyhow, so they give some extra interesting details, and here you can see the variety of pearls, the gold thread that's coming through the face there, his kind of glow, his face did shine as the sun. Beautiful.
Yep.
So I kind of hooked on these pieces. If you haven't got that impression yet,
Picked up on that. Yeah, picked up on that. Yeah. It's subtle, but we got it. Yeah.
And we'll see where that goes. I've decided I'm going to do this piece. My metal thread is going to be 2% gold, so I need to wait for the gold to arrive. Usually, I work almost everything in gilt, which is just 0.5% of gold, and the rest is like some other alloy. But I want to work this one in 2% gold to really kind of get that warm gold glow, and it won't tarnish as quickly.
Yeah.
Since it's going to take me forever to do.
Yeah.
All right. So here's a question. What was the silk that they used for these pieces, and how was it different compared to what we use today?
That I can't tell you. Don't know.
Okay.
I don't have any samples of the silk from that time.
Okay. Oh, we're gonna stop, Natalie. Darn it. Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's Kathy's turn.
That was fantastic. Thanks so much. Let's see. I'm gonna put us all
You're
back
welcome.
on the screen.
I'll be watching what you get up to for the next 2 hours.
Okay. Thanks so much. Really, learn
I'll be
as always.
watching what you get up to for the next 2
That was-
hours.
Yep. All right. Thanks.
My pleasure. And happy World Embroidery Day, everyone.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks,
Bye.
Natalie.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Yes. Now let's see. I got to add. There's Kathy. It's Kathy. Hi. Welcome.
Bye.
Hi.
Hi, Kathy.
Thank you.
That's Beth in the
Can you
bottom
see
left.
me okay, Gary?
Yes. But something is not.
All right, so hi, Beth. Am I coming through okay?
No, your voice is out of sync for some reason.
Okay.
We hear you. I'm
That's
going to
what you get
disconnect.
when you live in the country.
I'm going to disconnect you and you call back. Okay.
Yep.
Technology.
Yeah. Yeah. When you do
Oh,
it
that
live
was
like
fascinating.
this, that was really something. Really something. Yeah. When you do these things live like this from all over the place, yeah, it's just got to work it out.
Oops.
Um, yeah, with it.
Oops.
We could just listen to Jennifer do oops every now and then.
I know, right? I'm just oopsing. I'm
Yeah.
trying to get it on my stitching,
Okay.
because and not my, what's going on with this action down here?
Thanks to everybody for joining us. I hope you enjoyed that
Yeah.
first hour. That was really something. Oh, that
Don't.
Ornue
And I
work
think we
is.
got Deb going to be taking the Arnoué class, Deb DeCrane.
It looked like she got sucked in. Yep. Here's Kathy now. There we go. There we go.
Now you can see me, right?
There we go. Beautiful. Perfect.
Yeah,
Yay.
well, it just depends on where that satellite is.
Yep. Okay, for those who don't know, this is Kathy Andrews, the Unbroken Thread. Did a show with you a year ago, maybe more. Long time.
Yeah, about.
Yeah. Which means it's time to do another one. So, just to keep up.
Good.
Yeah.
Now, it seems to me like there's still a lag. Is that true?
Yeah, it's a little bit. Yep. Yeah,
Yeah,
your voice.
well, I apologize for that. There really is nothing we can do about it.
Yep.
It just depends on the weather and the satellites, because I live in the middle of an oak woodland. And it works really well when I'm only voice, but when you add a picture, that uses up a lot of bandwidth.
Yep. Well, we'll be all right. We'll just watch your mouth move. We'll pretend like it's one of those Godzilla movies, the old Japanese Godzilla movies. That's what we'll go with. Yeah.
Thanks, Gare. That's really what I like to hear. You really know the way to a woman's heart.
You're welcome. Glad I could help.
Oh, man.
Yep. So you're in your studio.
I am in my studio.
Wait,
That's right.
oh,
This is
man.
where I spend pretty much my whole day.
Wave your camera around. Can we see a little of it?
Yep. Hold on. Boy, this is a real lag. I apologize.
That's all right.
There's some of my embroidery books. There's one of my stands. How's that working for you?
Oh, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Good. Oh, it should shift soon. Come on.
Look at all the space you
There
have.
we go.
How nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then we'll go down there. Yep. And this, has it come to the outside yet? Wake up, camera.
And we're looking at all the pictures on the wall, now the fireplace.
Yep. And now a big mess.
Oh,
There
but
we
look at all the daylight that comes in there. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yep. It's all windows.
Wow.
And that's a good thing, except of course it's also a bad thing, because sometimes I'm stitching and there's a deer outside the window, or there's two chipmunks running around, or there's birds, and I just get completely distracted. I'm going to run away for a minute and go open the doors and see if that helps with the reception. How sad is this?
That's quite all right. That's quite all right.
Oh, just beautiful though. But a nice relaxing stitching spot,
Yeah.
just to be able to look out and.
Yep. Now I remember when we did the show, we talked about her studio. I was so anxious to see it because I think you were just getting it finished. Is that right, Kathy? When we did the show, it seems like that.
Yeah, that's right. We just moved back from Germany, and the house belonged to my grandparents. Built the house in 1954, and then when they got older, my parents moved in with them, because we have a kitchen upstairs and then a small galley kitchen downstairs and 2 bedrooms and essentially a living room, which is now my studio. So my grandparents lived downstairs, which has a walkout onto a big patio and the woods. And my parents lived upstairs. And then my parents lived here. And then in 2016, is that right? Yeah. My mom died and they had just moved into a retirement community. And Steve and I were going to buy a property in Scotland. We'd put money down in a property in Scotland, but then we came back home in the summer, and honestly, I saw the marks you put on a wall when you see how much a child has grown every year.
Yeah.
Well, they were on the wall for my dad and his sister and me and all my brothers and all my cousins.
Oh my.
Behind the curtains in the master bedroom. And when I saw that, I, of course, got quite emotional, and I said to my husband, we can't move to Scotland. We have to come back here. This house can't go out of the family. So we did, and spent all of our savings on bringing it into the 20th century.
But worth it.
It took a long time. Yeah, it was. So, and I love working down here. So I'm disappointed our connection isn't very good, but that's life.
That's
I wanted
right.
to just show your reader or your viewers what I'm working on.
Yes.
Let's see if I can get this. I'm going to turn my camera. No, I'm not.
Here,
No.
I'm gonna go full
This
Kathy
is
here.
really frustrating, isn't it? Nope, you can't see it. Well, what I'm working on is.
Hang on, Kathy. Now I've got a delay here. Hang on.
Boy, I think the internet is just too busy.
It says I'm offline. How can that possibly be?
I see you.
Yeah. Here,
I don't see me anymore, but I see you.
It's straightened out here. Hang on. There, now it's full Kathy. Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to try to show you. Tell me if you see something beautiful and gold in a minute. Right now you just see my chest, don't you?
Yes. Nice necklace, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I love turquoise. Nope. Man. Oh, Gary, I'm really sorry.
That's all right. What? Can you just turn the phone or?
That's what I'm trying to do. It's just not responding. It just.
Oh, there now. Whoop.
It's.
There, now we see it.
You never know. Okay, there. That's terrible light, but you can see that gold piece, right?
Yes.
Oh, and see, and now this is like running minutes behind. Wow. Gary, tell you what, I'm going to disconnect and try again.
Okay. All right.
Oh, technology.
Yeah. Well.
Oh, but I love that studio and the windows and being able to look out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's just
like I said, I remember when talking to her and she described her studio. It was like, oh man, I'd kill to have that. Okay. All right, we got you back, Kathy.
Okay, is that better? Is it better now?
I think so. Hang on now. I'm gonna go all Kathy. There we go.
Yeah. It's not great. Boy, when I'm in the green room, it's absolutely immediate. And the minute we connect, it's not.
Well, it's closer now, so your voice is closer to your lips, so that's okay. Yeah. Don't worry about it. Those. Don't worry about it. Just flip to the. There we go. Okay.
Yeah. So there. This is a piece that I did with Natalie, and I was supposed to be doing Italian shading, but I kind of went my own way. And what I did was take the colors. Can you see it okay?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I took the colors of a painting and did. Yep, I know. Now you're looking at me.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yep.
Are we good?
Yep.
This is awful. I took the colors of a painting by Monet called Giamaggio Maggiore. Anyway, it's sunset and it's water. And I just took a little circle of it and drew it with colored pencils to fill in the colors on the fabric, and then made a curved line from which I built the gold work and tried to replicate the colors of the painting in the circle. And it was such an engaging experience. I did it in the course of a week, and it's about 3 inches across. So it's a lot of stitching in a pretty short period of time, but I just didn't want to quit. So now I am taking Natalie's Ode to the Palette course because I wanted to learn more about color. And on top of that, I took a workshop with Hanny Newton. I don't know if you know who Hanny Newton is, but she's amazing. Gold metal thread artist. She's about 21, 23, very young, and does very contemporary work. And I have my historical work, which is what I tend to teach, and then I have the contemporary work I do, which I just do for myself. So what I'm going to do now, and what I was going to show your viewers, but because our connection's no good, I'm going to do it anyway, is I'm taking this thread, which is from Tinsel Trading, and it's a plate. This is a patterned plate. I wouldn't imagine you can see it really well, but anyway, I have 4 different kinds of flat silver thread, and I'm going to couch those down with the same colors.
Move to your right a little bit. Move to your right a little bit with it.
Like this?
Just with the thread.
Oh, with the thread. Sure. Yeah. Here.
Okay.
There. Now you can see it, right? Do you see it?
No. There it is. Oh, there we go. Okay. To your right. Yeah. There we go. Perfect. Yeah.
Good.
It's out of focus, but that's all right.
And using those same colors, I'll couch it down like blades of grass, it's actually one of the Wheatfields paintings by Van Gogh. And so I'm going to couch all these silver threads, but leave the ends loose or couched down at one end and up and curved and down at the other. So they're actually up off the fabric. And that's what I hope turns out, because it'll be really interesting, and there'll be a lot of texture as well as some color. And that's something I'm exploring, is texture with metal thread and texture with wool thread. Texture is something that embroiderers think about, but I don't think they think about it a lot. So if you want to get some of those pictures up, we can talk about that right now. And I'll get my
And then
settled.
someone Mary had a question. What did you couch the gold with? Because you didn't lose the shine of the gold.
That's all with DMC cotton. Oh, Gary, go past these and then we'll come back to those.
Okay.
Yeah, go to the first set. Good.
Oh.
All right. So you asked us to be on today as designers. And so I thought, in talking about texture, I would talk about my design process for a class that I'll be teaching online starting in mid-November, called The Princess Thistle. And this class is inspired by this piece of silver, which belonged to Bonnie Prince Charlie. And if you're a Outlanders fan and have watched much past the first couple seasons, you'll know who he is. And it's a travel canteen, which doesn't sound at all like what it looks like. It's about 6 inches high and about 3.5, 4 inches across. It's oval. The lid comes off, and inside is a little knife and a little fork and a little spoon and a cup, and it is stunning. Okay, go ahead and go to the next picture. There we go. So on the canteen is, of course, a thistle, because that's the national flower of Scotland. And I'm fascinated with this period in history, and I also think thistles are beautiful flowers, if slightly dangerous if you try to pick them. And so I took this design and sort of expanded and elaborated on it to make a crewel work piece. So if you want to go to the next picture. Some people ask, where do you get your ideas? Well, that's where I got my idea for this piece. And as you can see, I've added a leaf. And then I decided to explore laid and couched trellis work, which are on the Yeah, you can see there's an extra leaf in there. Thanks. And there's some leaves at the bottom too that weren't there. And then I did some laid and couched work in the big leaves because I just love that technique for filling large areas. So go ahead and go to the next one. And now you can see what I'm talking about when I was talking about texture. Often when we think of crewel work, we think of stem stitch and we think of bullion knots, maybe, and we definitely think of long and short shading. But there's a lot more to texture than that. And of course, one of the big texture stitches is what's called turkey or turkey rug stitch, which is what you see in the top of the thistle. And I've done that as shaded turkey stitch. You can see that it's darker in the center of the top of the thistle than it is along the edge. And then below that is a whipped chain stitch. So
Now,
that
wait
gives
a minute, Kathy. Okay, now most people are just proud to get turkey stitch, but
Yes.
I mean, that's, most people are just really just, okay, mission accomplished. So you shaded this all in. Wow.
Yeah, you just draw, sort of like what Natalie was explaining. You just have to think, where do the colors have to go on the fabric to make it look shaded? And then you draw a semicircle or kind of like a rainbow shape, and you change your color of thread as you're doing the turkey work. And you're doing it, and of course you don't see it until that last deadly moment when you cut all the
Yeah.
loops off and you're
Yeah.
going, please, I hope this turned out.
Exactly.
So, what threads are you using? Are you using wool?
Yeah,
That doesn't
this
look
is
like
all
wool.
wool. Yeah, but
Really?
it's my favorite wool. It used to be sold by Purcell's in Wales, and then she sold it to a company called Catkin, like the plant, Katkin, Catkin Crown, and they exclusively sell this wool, which is known as Heathway wool. It's from New Zealand, and it is the wool, the spun wool. It is the most beautiful, soft wool. It's finer than Appleton's. It's probably a little like the Auvergne wool, but I don't know for sure. I haven't used that wool, but I think it's closer. It comes in a beautiful range of colors, not as wide as Appleton's. So that's a consideration as a designer. But what I like about it is it doesn't fray at all, and it doesn't split or pull apart. And that's always a problem for me with Appleton's. I don't have good luck with that. So that's why I think the turkey work looks so good, because it's such a high quality wool that when you fluff it, it just hangs together. And I mean, it's just gorgeous. And every time I show it to someone in my studio, they want to touch it. And I have to say, please wait till I've exhibited it. Then you can come back and touch it.
Get your grimy fingers off.
So anyway, that's right. So that's the one texture. And then below that is a whip chain stitch done with multiple colors of that same beautiful grayish purple color. And of course it kind of looks like a barber's pole, but when you touch it, it's ribbed, almost like corduroy. And then the thistle, the body of the thistle, the green, is all padded satin stitch, and it gets, the first lightest green has one layer of padding, and by the time you get to the bottom, it has 4 layers of padding. So it gets fatter as it goes down. And I think I sent you another picture, right? Can you switch?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, there you go. And then you can see the texture of the laid and couched work on the leaves, and how you go from those squares that are pretty dense to the squares that are completely empty. So that contrast, and that is what I love about crewel work. Because your thread is a little bit thicker than silk, or a lot thicker than silk, depending on how many strands, you can really play with it and get some beautiful texture. Now, you can do turkey work with silk, But to fill up that area, that's about 2 or 2.5 inches across of that turkey work. It would probably take you a year with silk because, it's such a fine fabric. And the really cool thing that happened is when I was all finished, I have a dear friend who makes cushions for me if I ask. So I'm looking online for a wool to match these colors, and I go to Etsy, and there's a woman there who owns a company called something Croft. Anyway, and I see this wool and I order it, and it comes and it's perfect. The colors are perfect. And it's called, of all places, the Isle of Skye. That's the name of the wool, which is where Bonnie Prince Charlie fled to when he was escaping.
Oh.
So talk about serendipity. I just was thrilled. So I really hope people feel brave enough to sign up for this class, because turkey work seems like a daunting thing. But once you get into the rhythm of it, it isn't difficult. It's just a series of vertical sort of and horizontal loops. And doing the stitch is not hard. The hardest thing is cutting it off, is being brave enough to cut it off, because you're always scared. And of course, you might not know this, but it's called turkey work because what you and I would call Asian, or maybe a long time ago Oriental carpets, used to be called turkey carpets. So like an Asian carpet, like from Pakistan or Iran or Iraq or China, that has a pile, those kinds of rugs, and you see it in paintings, particularly in Holland, Dutch Renaissance paintings, used to be put on tables because they were too valuable to walk on. So they would put them on tables. So turkey work was something people did to sort of mimic wealth, because that kind of stitch is pretty thread hungry. It uses a lot of wool for a very small area, as opposed to the leaves with that laden couch work. That's not very much wool at all to cover a very large area. So I just love it. I think it's an incredible stitch. But this class is going to be a lot about texture in crewel work, and playing with texture and learning about how to change the texture of things. So I hope people think it's worth it.
I can see why you like this wool, because I'm not sure I've seen wool that looks like this. So it doesn't fray, and it stitches very easily, I assume.
Yeah.
And it seems almost to have a shine to it, which most wool is it's very matte to me, my eyes.
Yes, it catches the color beautifully. Yeah, I agree with you. And I have used it exclusively since I discovered it. And all the pieces I've done with it not only look pretty, but have held up, which is saying something, because wool can, start to look ratty after a while, especially if you put the cushion on the sofa and people sit on it, or sit next to it. And this hasn't done that. So thank goodness. So do you want to go to the next picture? And
Okay.
I'll talk a little bit about that project.
Talk about, before we go, talk about padding in the body of that thistle. Is it just straight stitches underneath and then adding another layer as you get toward the bottom?
Good question. Okay, you see where the silver thread is that makes the diamond
I'm going to go back
shapes. That's all
I'm going to go back up there. Okay.
Yeah, good idea. The silver threads are on top of the shape, but that pattern, that diamond pattern, is printed on the fabric. So each one of those diamond shapes is outlined just inside the design line with split stitch. So fabric with diamonds drawn on it. Then you do the split stitch inside the design line. And so you have a whole bunch of little diamonds done in green wool with split stitch. Then in the top, the rule for padding is the layer that is next to the satin stitch that you see has to be perpendicular to that satin stitch. So in the top layer, right under all the purple threads, you have the outline of the diamond, and then inside of that, you have horizontal stitches right up next to the fabric, And then you have the satin stitch, which goes over, it comes outside the split stitch outline, over the one layer of padding, outside to the back of the split stitch outline. Is that clear?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then when you do 2 layers of padding, your first layer of stitch is vertical, your second layer of stitch is horizontal, and your final layer of satin stitch is vertical. When you do 3 layers, the first layer is horizontal, the second layer is vertical, the third layer is horizontal, and the satin stitch is vertical. You with me still?
Yep.
So when you do 4, you do exact, it goes, then it goes vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical. Because if your padding is vertical, in other words, in line with the satin stitch, then it'll split. The satin stitch can split apart, and you don't want that. It doesn't make a nice smooth satin stitch. So you always have to have the layer under the visible layer has to be perpendicular.
Yep.
And the other thing to get a really good satin stitch is you absolutely have to outline the shape. And a lot of people don't like to do that, but it makes a huge difference. In fact, I'm taking the same class Natalie's taking, the Introduction to Tudor Embroidery. And the first piece we did had some satin stitch in it. And I wrote to Cynthia and said, Cindy, do we outline this in split stitch? She said, I don't think they did that in the Tudor period. And one of the other students and I, we could not bring ourselves to not outline part of it. It was like, no. So I did it. And then I thought, no, the point of this class is to learn how they did it in the Tudor period. So then I did the rest without the outline. And it's a lot harder to get a good, fine, even finish.
Oh.
So I admire them for doing that, but I'm not sure I'll do it in my own work.
You're not gonna adapt their technique then, okay?
Not for my own work. If I'm trying to do something accurate in terms of period work, then yeah, and I'll have to practice because it is harder. It's a lot harder because it's hard to get that beautiful finish without it.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
That's beautiful.
So we have some questions. So repeat
Sure.
the name of the wool.
Heathway.
Heathway.
Wool.
Okay.
And the
then
company is Catkin, Catkin, Catkin Crown.
Okay. And then where is the workshop held? Oops.
Oh, good question. This workshop will be online, and I'm using the platform Teachable. And what they need to do is check out my website and my social media, which is Facebook and Instagram, because I will announce it.
Okay. And
but
so
I have
then
to
you'll
wait
announce
till
when signups.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be later. I've got Chicago. I'm teaching in Chicago at EGA. And then I have another obligation in Ohio, which I'm really looking forward to. And I don't want to overbook myself. So easy to do.
And so will the class have the kits with the Heathway wool?
That still is to be determined. It might.
Okay.
The issue will be shipping cost. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine a lot of people would prefer to have that. But I can say that you can order the wool online and get it delivered to the United States. Shipping is very reasonable because it doesn't weigh anything. Wool has a lot of air in it, right? Wool is a light fiber, actually. And shipping is reasonable. And I have never yet been charged any duty. So, because they send it in a soft envelope. Yeah.
And then, then your website is theunbrokenthread.com, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's brand new. I just redid it all.
Yeah. Make sure that when you put that in, you put in theunbrokenthread.com.
Right.
That's key.
Yes, it is. Because otherwise you get something about space, I think.
Yes, you do. It's weird.
Yes, which is interesting. But yeah, and the idea of my website is that it's, for me, because I like history so much, it's an unbroken thread of embroiderers from forever ago to today. Because of course I also stitch replicas of parts of the Bayeux Tapestry, which is pretty old. So I like that idea of living history through embroidery. That I like that a lot.
Oh, right.
I'm really just
Okay.
an old romantic. Oh, perfect, Gary.
Okay. So
Yeah,
here's the
whoever.
question.
I put this up here because I have made the error of leaving the off more than once, and it's really, yeah.
It's
All right, so
disconcerting.
Yes.
all right. Here's another question. Where are you teaching in Ohio?
Oh,
Or is
I'm
that already
teaching.
full?
I don't know, and I'm probably going to mess up how you say it. I think it's called Stan Hywet, Hywet, or it might be. Anyway, for their needlework chapter, it's Stan like Stanley, Hywet. And if you go to my website and go to events, you will see it. It's there, and there's a link to registration.
Here, hang on.
And
Here, let me see if I can
beautiful.
put that. Let me see if I can put that up here for us.
That'd be awesome. You guys are really helping me out since my connection isn't great, and I so appreciate your skill with the internet here.
Yeah, my skill, right? Appreciate the vote. Appreciate the vote. I can't even get my keyboard to connect. Come on, crying out loud.
You're doing great, Gary.
All right, so we're gonna go
technical
to
Oh,
events.
there
genius.
it is. Oh,
Okay.
you found it, Gary. I'm so impressed.
Calm down now,
Keep
Kathy.
going.
Calm down. Oh, there's the Stan.
There we go.
Oh,
Stan Hywet.
Needlework
Stan
Guild.
Hywet.
I what? Yeah,
I feel
whatever.
really bad that I don't remember. So those are the two pieces I'm teaching. One is the Trevelyan's Garden Pincushion, which I designed. Well, both of them I designed exclusively for the Guild. The one on the left is a 2-day class, and it's stunning in real life. I have to say the red silk is just extraordinary, and it's 4 little motifs, and we can talk about that later because I sent you more photos of this. And then the one on the right is a beginner's class for crewel work of a tile in the kitchen. And if you like that, we can easily do more because all the tiles have dogs in different poses. So it's easy to just trace those dogs and then, do the outline and put another dog inside. So,
oh, fun.
kind of fun. Yeah. The fireplace where those are is just gorgeous with those tiles. They're all those Delft blue and yellow tiles from Holland. It's really pretty. So, and then I'm teaching next year at the Heartland conference in 2022.
Up in Minneapolis.
Yep, that's right. And I'll be teaching Trevelyan's Needlebook on the left, and then the King's Pineapple on the right, which is another piece done with this same wool. That it's really my favorite crewel work piece because of the body of the pineapple, and it just uses some really cool textured stitches. Raised leaf stitch, 3 bullion knots in a row of different colored threads. It is a really beautiful piece, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, see, this is the trouble with your website. Time gets chewed up. Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
I know all
Yes.
about that. You should try writing it. You just
No.
get sucked in.
Just looking at these things.
Yeah, that one, the pomegranate.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Yep. Yeah, these are the things. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be bringing back some of my Trevelyan pieces. Again, that's a little bit of the cap. Oh, that one I've never taught. That's a brooch. That would be a good teaching piece for beginning gold work because it's just a lot of chip work with little bits of bullion and stuff, and it's super easy to do. But it turns out really cool.
Oh, but
Yeah, see,
and that's
this is-
so it's a little brooch, a nice little
Yeah.
brooch. That is beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's really fun.
It's easy,
And I never
Beth.
think to, sorry?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
easy.
Yeah, well, it is actually.
He's harassing me because I have a thing about not liking gold work. So,
You know, I
oh,
think part of that is people
beautiful.
just get overwhelmed. So Gary, oh, there's my thistle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
from
yeah,
Instagram.
there it is. Yeah.
That's one I saw out west in Nevada. Is that an amazing plant?
Yep.
Oh, yes.
I know. It's from Instagram. And I've never seen a thistle like that before. I looked it up and now I can't remember. It's a special name. But talk about texture and nature. It's just gorgeous.
Hmm.
I did not touch it. I wanted to, but I thought
Yeah.
it might be pokey. So I didn't.
There it is. The unbroken thread. Follow her on Instagram. You'll have fun.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Gary, can you go back to those other pictures? Because I want to talk just a little about the Trevelyan's Garden pincushion. These are the ones I sent you
Oh, those pictures. Okay.
in
Yes,
the
I can do
email.
that. I have that
Yeah,
ability too.
thank you. I know you do. Look at this guy manipulating screens. I'm so impressed.
Let's
It's
see.
in that same document.
Okay.
Yeah, just keep going down. Nyeh, nyeh, nyeh. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Stop. Okay, stop. Perfect. So this is a picture of the Countess of Southampton, and most people, of course, focus on her dress, which is gorgeous. But you can see circled in yellow, way in the back of the painting, is a pin cushion, and it has like hundreds of pins in it. And I thought, why? This is years ago. I thought, why do they have all these pins on this lady's dressing table? Well, then I started to investigate Tudor embroidery and dress, and pretty much the people, famous, not famous, rich people, probably not people like me, their clothing was held together and onto their body with straight pins. So they'd put on their shift, which is sort of like a nightgown, and then all the other bits would be held on either by tying or straight pins or inglets, but not always. So if they had a pair of sleeves, those sleeves would be set into the bodice, for example, the whatever part they were wearing on the top, and it would be held in with straight pins. So that's part of the reason why it took them so long to get dressed, and they had to have somebody help them. And if you have Ellery Lynn's new dress called Tudor Fashion, she goes through in the front of that book how to dress a Tudor man or a Tudor woman and shows all the layers. So I'm looking at this painting and thinking, I wonder how it would be to make a pincushion. And then my mind, my romantic brain took flight, and I thought, what if you found a little leftover piece of fabric that was embroidered and you made a pincushion out of it? So go to the next picture, please. And that's where I remembered seeing this beautiful petticoat in the Borough collection in Glasgow. And I thought, what? And it's been flattened out. And I think part of it was cut away. I can't remember. But imagine if you found a little part of this, like you might find if you moved into a house with stuff in the attic, and you made a pincushion. And this is why I used red silk. Now go to the next picture, please. Thank you. And there you can see that these are little floral motifs like you saw on the Borough collection petticoat, not identical. But I was thinking if you cut that petticoat apart, you could make it into a pincushion like the one the Countess of Southampton might have had on her dressing table. So that's where the inspiration for this design came. And it looks complicated, but to be honest, the most complicated thing about it is the long and short shading of the oak leaves and the French knots of the strawberries. And the rest of it is pretty much satin stitch. And then you have some laid gold threads and spangles and some whipped stem stitch. It looks a lot harder than it is, but it does look like somebody found this little piece of fabric and turned it into a pincushion.
That's a great idea.
Jennifer, get on that, will you?
Later on, I'll offer this as a class, but it'll be years from now because I'd much rather teach this one live before I try to do it online. There are some things that are better live, and
Yeah.
that's why I was thrilled to be able to do the design and teach it for the embroiderers in Akron, because it's not complicated, but it's different from what a lot of people do. And I think there's a lot to be said for live teaching, and hoping everything goes well, we can do it that way. So
Yes. Yes.
I'd like to see lots of people come there and sign up for the class. And the kit is offered two ways. It's offered with silk, which is quite expensive because there's a lot of different colors of silk. And I've also priced it out with DMC cotton, which is considerably less expensive. And it includes the red silk for the front and the back, and the gold cording, and the ribbons and the gold for the tassels. And it also includes the crushed walnut shells for the filling, so that it really will be a pincushion. So it's going to be a fun project to teach. I'm looking forward to it a lot.
And about how big is it?
It's about 4.5 inches square. It's big. Just like the one on a dressing table. You know, it has to hold hundreds of pins, although I probably won't be putting any pins into mine.
All I can think is
I don't think I could do that.
Yeah, at that time, if you're a hugger and you go up to somebody, oh, it's so good to see you. How many stabs do you get?
Yeah.
Jeez.
More than one, I think.
I would think so, yeah.
I often wonder about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you've ever seen anybody try to get dressed in Tudor clothing, it is just an epic. You know, I'm a blue jeans girl. I like to get up and get my clothes on and be done. But I don't look as fancy as they did.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
that's okay.
yeah. Thank you.
Oh, we have a close-up. Oh, we missed the close-up here.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, very beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a fun piece, and it represents all 4 seasons. That's why I like it. Spring, summer, autumn, winter, or late, I should say early winter, late spring.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the peas.
Yeah, Beth, somebody's suggesting that in the bottom right there for your lizard on your painted canvas.
Yes, I know it.
Oh, the greens. Yeah. That technique of shading a leaf that way is correct, period wise. But boy, it's a weird way to do it, isn't it?
Yeah, very stripy, and that's what my lizard's stripy. So I think that's what they were thinking. Just do the stripes, and I'm like, yeah, I could do that.
When you look at some of the old pieces of embroidery online or live, there are so many ways they chose to do leaves, and some of them are really pretty fanciful, and that's one of them. I think they were a lot less interested for a while, maybe, in making it realistic, as with just having fun. I can't help but wonder about that. So, Gary, before we run out of time, let's look at that amazing other thing I sent you, because I know you really liked it.
This.
Yeah.
Oh.
So,
calm
beautiful.
down, Beth. Calm down. Easy, Beth. Easy.
Yeah, there's lots of good close-ups, Beth. One of the things
I'm trying not to drool.
Drool away. Just after we moved back from Germany, a girlfriend in my EGA chapter in Cedar Valley asked if I'd be interested in going to an Amy Mitten workshop, and I said sure. But I hadn't done counted work forever, and I'd never done a sampler. So I go to this workshop, and let me tell you, I did the first 12 stitches 4 different times before I was even in the ballpark right, because I'd never read a sampler chart before, ever. I'd never stitched on fine count linen. I didn't know about pin stitches. You don't learn that at the RSN. That is not something they teach you, which is fine. But I really, for the history, I love samplers, and I wanted to learn how to do it. So
you just muted yourself, Kathy.
No.
Uh-oh.
No.
Oh, no.
Oh. I know. I want to know. And
There.
and Amy,
She's back,
is she back?
I think. You're still muted, Kathy.
Several members of our guild took that class with Amy Mitten.
Oh,
I did not, and I'm still regretting it.
you're still muted. You muted yourself, Kathy. Not sure how you did that. Yeah, I can't do anything on this end. It's all on her end.
Rats. All right, and Sharon, I want to know what threads you were thinking about with Kathy Ray for that lizard, because now I got to know.
She hung up. She'll be back in a second.
Okay, all right, because they're talking about my lizard over there, so I got to
Oh,
figure that
okay.
out.
Yeah.
And I moved my phone, so if you put me back on, you get to look at Max's guitars. So
Okay. Well, that could be a good thing.
well, and my wires too. I think that's the other thing you get to look at.
Okay. Yeah. Wait till you see the close-ups on this. It's pretty cool. But
Oh.
we'll let her lead us through it as soon as she comes back. Jennifer, you reconnected
Come
again?
back.
Not sure what.
Yes, because her headset went out, or
Yeah.
her phone died, or
Here comes.
I was wondering what people were going to
Here's
do.
Jennifer back. All right, we got Jennifer back. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer.
Maybe. Oh.
It disconnected me and stuff, and so I've been here, but
Oh. Well, you're
I've
back
been
now.
muted, and then I think it disconnected me altogether.
Okay. Well, you're back live now. So
Yes,
well done. All right, here comes Kathy.
I'm
now.
listening and stitching.
Here comes Kathy. Okay,
Can you
Kathy.
hear me now?
Yep, we got you.
You know what
Yay,
happened?
Kathy.
My brother arrived last night from Australia, and he has to use my phone to find his lost golf clubs, so he took it off airplane mode. I apologize. Anyway, I fixed it. Now it won't do that. I am really sorry.
It's
So
quite
anyway, I got into samplers, started stitching some of Nicola Parkman's samplers, went to one of her workshops out in Arizona, and started buying samplers. I started that in Germany, but a year ago, I decided to splurge and get this sampler, which is from about 1625. So it's really old. And I love it because it has symbols that indicate that these people were Jacobites. And those are the acorns and the sunflowers. And we, of course, don't know who did it because in that time period, people didn't sign their samplers because they really were samples of their work to be remembered. But I think it is absolutely gorgeous. Gary, I think I sent you some close-ups, right?
You did.
Oh.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, look at those sunflowers.
aren't they beautiful? That's because they thought of the Stuart King as the sort of the sun in splendor king, kind of like Louis, but not. And those things at the bottom are lilies, but to me they look like bananas being peeled.
They do. They do.
Oh, they
I know.
do.
They're hilarious,
Oh,
aren't they?
yeah.
But and what I think is so interesting is it really is beautifully stitched, but you can tell that they didn't have light, electric light, because I think that this young woman would probably have done a better job if she could have seen better, because you can see that the satin stitch is a little raggy,
Yeah, it does help to see, yes.
Yeah. So go on
Oh.
to the next one.
Is this one reversible?
Well, Gary asked me that, and I don't know because I don't have the nerve to take it out. I mean, I got it from Stephen Huber out on the East Coast, and he and his wife have written books on samplers, and they're really reliable dealers. And he had it's already framed, so I don't know. I do have a reversible sampler from Germany that is completely reversible with no threads on the back, not even a frayed little tiny bit on the edge
Wow.
anywhere. It's amazing.
Wow.
But it's not this one. So keep going, Gary.
Okay.
After the acorns, we have, what's the next
yeah.
one? Oh, this border. I just love that border. And I may chart that. You know, that just that little bit would be fun to do as a little sampler.
Oh yeah.
We'll see.
Just that band, yeah.
Super. Yeah, because
that's the
it
one
looks
that's on the
3D.
top. Yeah, it's on the top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so
See,
pretty.
I love those
Sorry,
sunflowers.
me too, Beth.
The
They're pretty, aren't they?
sunflowers.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, we could chart those. Those aren't hard. And I got the charting software. Nicola Parkman recommended one, and I got the Mac version. And it is absolutely addictive to use. You just start to chart the sampler, because what you're doing when you're charting it is you're sort of reading the little girl's needle. You can see exactly what she did and how she did it, and you have to pay attention to that when you're charting. And you'll go, whoops, you missed one there. And it's just so fun. All right, go to the next one. Yeah, look at the birds. Aren't they cute?
Yeah.
I love them. I just love them. And Carol Huber said she'd never seen a sampler with those birds. Neither have I, but I haven't done exhaustive research, so there might be one out there. Okay, one more.
Okay,
you
were
go,
those
Beth.
little
Oh,
islets
now
though
look.
up by the birds?
Yeah, that, I
Oh,
don't, the islets? I don't know.
next
Yes,
to the
they are.
birds.
Those are islets. Yeah, they are.
Okay.
But in the next one is a mystery stitch. It's the one that's circled on the left in yellow. On the right, she's done the same stitch twice in white, but that one is a cross stitch, sort of, with angled stitches in the corners. And I don't know if she made it up or if it has a name, but if anybody knows what it's called, I'd love to know. Because she's done it in a lot of places, and I've never seen that stitch. Which certainly isn't saying much, since I am not a sampler stitch expert, but it's a cool little stitch.
Seems like I've done a stitch like that in needlepoint.
Okay.
Oh, now I got to go look.
I don't know.
Look. I'll look. If I find it, I'll send it to you.
Okay. Thank you. All right,
Yeah.
go to the next picture, please. Yeah. Oh, this is so pretty. I love the corner of this.
Yep.
And look at that rope detail. And it's just so simple what she's done, but it's so pretty. But here you can see that she's outlined the design but hasn't filled it all in. And that's true all the way along the bottom. She's only filled in part of it, so who knows what happened. I hope nothing sad.
I'm gonna vote.
Right,
She got a boyfriend and just lost interest. I'm voting for that.
I'm voting for that too. He saw how good she was. She said, "That's it. I'm marrying you. If you think my sampler is good, I love you." I don't know.
I'm out. Yep.
I'm done.
Thanks,
Go to
Mom.
the next
Wow.
one, Gary. Yep. There you go. There's the whole motif, and she's just done that little bit of branch.
Oh.
And you can see the flower
Yeah.
in the center and the two on the side and on the bottom. But she never finished it. She was a good girl. She outlined her shape with split stitch, just like I said, which is interesting because this is post-Tudor though. So yeah, maybe that's when they started doing it. Interesting. I'll have to learn about that. But if you go one more slide, this is from the Goodhart sampler book, and it's the exact same motif finished in.
Oh.
Isn't that cool?
Oh, look at that. Yep.
I know. When I saw that in my book, it was like, oh, that's how it could look.
There's the ears kind of the thing. Yeah, look at that.
The points. Yeah.
The point. Yeah,
Isn't
points.
it cool?
Ears, points.
Yep. And those are worked. Yeah, points, ears. Those are worked differently. The main flower. Isn't it pretty?
Yeah.
But I like this sampler because it uses different stitches, not just cross stitches. And I know samplers use lots of different stitches. But this one, I don't know, it just spoke to me. It's so pretty. If only I could win the lottery.
Yep.
Yeah. So here's my question. What's the name of the charting software that you're using?
Oh, hold on. That's a great question. I'm going to go right now on my computer and tell you because I love it. It is called, where is it? It's pretty colors, so I have to, hold on. I have too many things on my computer. You know how that is? Mac
Mm-hmm.
Stitch, MAC Stitch. And I paid for the Constant Forever Until You Die upgrades, which is, it's cheap. I don't remember how much it is, but I remember thinking, this is a deal. And you can choose, I mean, they've got every thread you could possibly think of in their list. The only thing I would complain about, and this is true with any stitch software, is the colors on the screen, and therefore what you print don't always match the colors of the thread. You can go in and change it, but that's always going to be an issue with color and screen and thread. Always. Yep. It's hard to get a true representation. So.
Is that how they market it? Updates forever until you die? Is that what that's the checkbox?
I don't think so.
Just wondering because it's catchy.
No, it is.
I like it. I like that.
Yeah, but it is a great little program, and I did a sampler for, I think it was the Great Lakes EGA region. One of their chapters asked me, because I do a lecture on my sampler collection called The Samplers and Their Makers. So we talk a little bit about the people and the stories of the people as well as the samplers. And they wanted me to do a sampler for their group, which then this year, this coming fall, they're going to use to explore color. So they're going to take the sampler as a black and white, and then they're going to choose their colors. And in that sampler, I took bits of some of the samplers that I own, including this one. And it turned out really cute, and I used that program to make it. So, it's definitely a conglomeration of things, but it hangs together okay. I mean, they were really thrilled with it, so that was fun to do.
Okay, we have an answer for your question about that stitch.
Awesome.
It's called the diamond upright stitch. Sandy P found it in the MH16. Oh, did she retract it? I'm just reading it.
What?
Okay, the diamond upright stitch. Yep.
Awesome. And is it a needlepoint stitch?
No, it's in the chart by Hands Across the Sea, Nicola's MH1656. If you have that sampler chart.
I might. Oh, tell her thank you.
You just
Thank you, Sandy.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot. She can hear me.
Yes.
That's cool. So Nicola has a sampler from 1656 that uses that. That's great.
Right.
That even helps firm up the date of this. We figured out the date of this based on the motifs in the sampler and the politics of the region of England, and why these, like the acorn and the sunflower, would be in a sampler of that period. But the stitch also helps to date it. So that's great. Because, of course, they didn't put their dates on samplers that old all the time either, which is super frustrating.
Yeah.
I don't know. I suppose you could do dating of threads like they do of trees, like dendro dating.
Right.
I don't know if they do that.
Yeah.
So,
Carbon date your thing. Kathy, thank you. This has been fun.
Thank you so much,
a perfect lead into our next guest. So well played there.
Good. Well, I'll go watch because it's been a fun afternoon.
Well, thanks so much. We really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Talk to you
right.
later.
Okay.
Bye.
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 Bye, Kathy.
Okay, going back to the main screen. Bye. I'm going to add Barbara in now. There's Barbara.
Okay, turning on lights.
Okay.
I am here.
Yay.
Just turning on my lights.
That's good.
Okay, so you can see
Excellent.
everything.
So,
Gary, I've been having a little bit of problem with my Wi-Fi today too. It's been going in and out, so I hope we're okay now.
we'll be all right. You're looking
I've got
good,
all
Barbara.
my bars.
You're looking good. All right. Here, I'm
Okay.
gonna switch something here and get Barbara on and me out. There, now we have a full screen Barbara. So Oh, and let me lose the unbroken thread. There we go. Yes. Oh, yeah, and of course, whenever you see Barbara, then you get to just drool over a pile of samplers behind her.
Yes.
And now we can't
Oh.
hear her.
Boxes of them.
Yes. Yeah, I was going to say, and the boxes are full of samplers too, in case anybody wonders. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, you're running a museum
Yeah,
there.
they
Are
are.
you licensed?
The QSD license.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. So okay, so we got
Well,
your
Gary, I've been having such a good time today.
good. So have we.
Go ahead.
Except you're so badly out of sync that it's. I'm gonna hang up and add you and call me back. Hang up and call me back, okay? Oh geez, and then we gotta look at me. There.
Well, and I took my phone down so I could look at Barbara. Now I'm going to
There.
put my
There, now
phone back
Barbara's
up.
trying to
Make
get
it
her.
one.
We'll get it.
I know.
You know, what is with the
There we
internet
go.
today?
I don't know, but I've been disconnected several times
There we go. Okay, Barbara.
on the thing.
Jennifer's frozen up. I'm gonna go right to Barbara.
Yeah. Always.
There.
And my husband's not here either using the computer, so.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, Barbara. Yes, I think we got you back now.
Okay, yeah, there's not much we can do about what's happening out there in the Netherlands. So.
Yeah, no, it's much better now. You're in sync now. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So Barbara sent Barbara sent a truckload of photos, and also you got some new things you purchased.
Yes.
Oh well,
I have a
then-
pile to show you.
Yeah, let's have at it. Yeah, I mean, let's go.
yes.
Okay. Do you want to show the picture of the portrait lady? I mean, I can show her too, but she's under glass.
Picture of the portrait.
She might be glared.
That's Wooly. Yes. Oh, okay.
That's Wooly.
Coming up.
Yeah,
Coming up.
Sarah.
Let me go to the photos.
There we
Oh,
go.
look at her.
Oh, wow.
This is Sarah Woolley, right? Yeah.
Correct. I recently bought her at the Pook and Pook auction online. Didn't think I was going to get her because all those samplers in the beginning of the auction were going for so much money, but I was able to purchase her. At first, I thought she might be well, she definitely looked like an English sampler right away, but those parrots reminded me of Newburyport parrots and Massachusetts, Newburyport, Massachusetts. But everything else kind of screamed England. I found girls named Sarah Woolley in both areas, all over England and several places in Massachusetts. So it's going to be a mystery as to who made it. But 1790 is the date. It's losing a few stitches in the date, but I just love the portrait. She's
Yeah.
just gorgeous.
Now,
Yeah.
when you
Had to
when
have
you,
her.
when you have trouble finding, I'm echoing in there. When you have trouble finding the exact person, you must work at it for a while, and then do you just put it aside and just kind of keep it in the back of your mind as you look for other things, hoping you'll.
Yeah,
trip over it?
I keep a big file on every girl, and if I find too many of them, there's no way I could, without having a good provenance, to know who she is. Unless it's handed down in a family, you just don't know for sure whose it is. Even when it is handed down in the family doesn't keep notes, and they forget who made that sampler. I've come across that a lot this last year with people emptying out their closets during COVID and not realizing they're giving away family heirlooms. I do let them know after I have done that, but they don't seem to, it doesn't seem to care. They don't seem to care about that. So I'm glad I have them in my pile now.
Yes. Okay.
So,
Yeah. So now we got some close-ups here.
there you go.
Oh, is her face over one?
Yes, it's all over one. A lot of the satin stitches missing on the to the right, Some of it's still there. So it's sort of like a sawtooth. Let's just say it's not perfect. But
Her hair
The-
looks
the-
like it's like threads laid on top and like it was couched down. Is it, or did they just do a really good job of making her hair look curly?
it's all 10 stitch. No kidding.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Wow. Because it looks 3D, almost like they kind of tacked down some loose
Right. No.
curly
No. What
yeah.
you're seeing
Wow.
is a little bit of dirt on the glass on top. Little gray area there where the curls begin.
Oh.
So that's, and there's some damage to her nose. The threads were pulled a little bit. This has actually been conserved on another piece of linen. You can sort of, well, on the whole picture, you can see it underneath the parrot on the right. I have not taken it out of the frame. I don't want to yet. So she's going to stay right where she is.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
You can see the hole there.
Yeah.
And you can see the other linen that's underneath it.
Yeah.
So I will eventually take it out of this frame because it's sitting directly on glass, and I want a spacer between the linen and the glass. And I want better glass. I want archival glass.
Yeah.
This is inexpensive glass on here now.
Now I'm gonna ask a question that's gonna really show my absolute ignorance about these things, but I'm surprised at something this old that black hair is still so black. Because that normally doesn't hold up, does it?
No, it doesn't. You can see in the lettering how it's
Yes.
disappearing, and that might have been done with walnuts to color the silk, or something else could have been used. But yeah, it's amazing that the hair is still there. Truly, that's not a dumb question at all, Gary.
See, I've learned a few things. Yeah. Okay, and then this. Yeah, here's a.
Yeah, you can see that the nose is missing some stitches there, but look at the eyes. That's really cool.
Okay. Beautiful job.
Some real effort there.
Yeah.
So some real effort.
don't usually
and then the sawtooth frame around it is just kind of thrown in.
Well, it's a little decoration.
Yeah.
You don't often see portraits like this on samplers. It's just, you'll see flowers.
Yeah.
Seems some simple little people, geometric people, but not usually a nice little portrait like this.
I like she put
want
in
a
the little
color.
bang fringes too.
Yeah. Give it a little depth, a little texture.
Yeah.
And I think she might have done a few straight stitches in between the 10 stitches. I haven't put my face into that yet, but you can sort of see it. She has that Mona Lisa look going a little bit, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much.
Mhm.
A few more curls, but yeah, she's a bit of fun. So I don't know if I'm going to reproduce her or not. I might, but just had to have her.
Yeah.
I like those parrots too.
Yeah, the parrots are great. So the overall makeup, especially the deer on the bottom on that striped glass is very English, along with those trees. And then the little guy there, I don't know who he is, but another bird and a dog. Yeah, fun stuff. Yeah,
Wow.
keeper of the dogs, the guy.
Yeah. Nice.
So, and then the other thing that's going to tell you it's probably English are the crowns on either side of the angels that say K and Q for king and queen. So that's a kind of a dead giveaway. And there's a C. Yeah, I know. I didn't see that until I finally got it in my hands, but it would have been nice had it been Massachusetts, but it's not.
Yeah, that's got to be an interesting experience. You buy something like this, and you're buying what you see online, and then when you get it, like a whole nother discovery.
True. Yeah, it can be fun. And really, I do try to find out who the girls are before I buy them, but in this instance, it didn't matter to me because I just loved the whole sampler. I didn't care.
Had to have it.
Yep.
It's all right.
One of those things.
Yep. It's all right.
Where would you like to go next?
Well, whatever you want to do. We got.
Okay. Well, let me show you something I'm working on.
Okay.
First, I'll show you the antique. It's a little girl. There we go. I want you to see that there's a little problem in the cartouche, and I didn't know it until I got it. It didn't show up during the auction in the pictures, but someone cut out all the information that was in the cartouche.
Oh.
You can see that now?
No.
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
Oh my.
There are a couple of initials on top, HB, and this is on very high count linen. I'm in the process, she's all charted. I'm in the process of stitching the model, and this is where I am
Wow.
on the bottom. I'm doing it on 40 count, and that the antique is easy 60 count. So, sorry, I should have had this done ahead of time. There we go. Come on. Oh. So you can see. Oops. Get my act together here. There she is.
Oh yeah. So you're just going to
So
leave
we're
that,
working
that cartouche area, you're just going to leave that blank then?
Yes, I'm going to leave it blank. People can fill it in if they want and do what they like, or just leave it blank. That's okay too.
Yeah.
So, the sampler that's around back behind me is the Red Zebra sampler, which is already out, which is published. I sent you some pictures on that,
Yes.
along with the Ohio sampler, the one in the middle there over my shoulder. And she spelled her name phonetically on this sampler. It's Clementine Welch. That's how she says it, and that's how she spelled it. In other records, it's you see it as regular Clementine or Clementine.
Here, I'm going to go to those, the Welch ones.
Go to those photos. There she is. There's Clement. There's the antique, and she's
Clementine.
Ohio girl. Yeah, there is Clementine Rebecca Welch. The R stands for Rebecca.
And you found
That was
her?
my first.
Oh
yeah, I found her. I've got a great history on her. She has a great history. Both of her sides of her family, great history in Ohio. They came early into Ohio. So she was born in Logan County. She married a doctor, then moved to Indiana later on after the 1850s. But yeah, I've got a great history on her and her family. And there's the, if you can make that larger, she did some unique things with her queen stitch along the side. She's got two colors in it. And it's just a pretty look to it.
That's just showing
She had
off
some-
there.
yes.
It's pretty. I like what she did there. All kinds of different stitches in there, eyelets, queens. I forget what, four-sided. You could see the alphabet there.
Yep.
And I think she did a fabulous little job.
Oh, there's
Anciencies
queens
are
in this.
modernly.
Queens here in the border too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a fun one.
Yeah. I do have a few more Ohio samplers coming, and they're in the process of being charted. Some of them had to go into timeout because I found out I had done the middle of the sampler, which was all counted, but when I got to the outsides, as Natalie was talking about earlier, and the designs, the underdrawings can be done in watercolors and in inks, and this is what happened. Let me get to it. One of the Ohio samplers I have is similar to one that's in, excuse me, that's in the Ohio book by Sue Studebaker.
Oh, beautiful. Look at those flowers.
Man.
Is this coming through okay, Gary?
Yep,
Or
yep.
do I need to change my lighting?
Nope, you're good. You're good. Leave it. Yep.
Okay.
Wow. That's a
So-
ride and a half, isn't it? Holy smokes.
As I put my head into this one, I found out that the whole wreath, the whole outside, was drawn on either with paints or with inks. And so I have to adjust my charting now. It won't, because she's off by a thread so many different times, because, you know, you just draw it on the linen and fill it in is
Yeah.
what she did, which I have found in other schools doing the same thing. But this, what is her name? Bathsheba Brown is related to the girl that's in the book, the Ohio book. They married brothers or cousins or something like that. But just so you can see the colors on the back,
Mm.
so much brighter.
Oh, look at those.
Lots of
Yeah.
pinks and reds. The blues stayed true, which is unusual because blues, natural blue dyes tend to be gray, turn gray. So we're lucky that this one stayed as good as it did.
What
The
is
other
the
Ohio sam-
what is
Go
the
ahead.
what is the history that there be so many samplers worthy of a book from Ohio? I mean, I think of that as like an industrial
Well-
state, and I don't. Yeah.
Well, Sue Studebaker just loves samplers, and she also was very good friends with Gloria Seaman Allen, who also loves samplers, and they just told each other they had to write books about the samplers from their states. That's kind of what it came down to. So, yeah, you find someone that's a collector, and they get excited about learning about the schools the girls went to and where they're all from and the history behind it all, and someone tells them you should write a book, and that's what they do.
So what was it?
It's
was
that
it
simple.
Was it a couple of particular schools in Ohio that?
Oh, there would be all kinds of schools around, Gary, especially with the Quakers down in all over Ohio. Yes.
Okay.
So can you tell us the name of the book again?
Well, if you Google Ohio samplers, and the author was Sue Studebaker.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
trying to see if I have it here. I usually have them right on at my there it is. Ohio is My Dwelling Place is the name of it. Okay.
There you go, Sharon.
Here's another Ohio sampler.
Wow.
Look at that
And
blue.
this was from Cleveland, Ohio, where I was born. I had to have this. So that was a great find.
Wow. You gonna chart that one?
Oh yeah, I'm going to chart that one. And I want you to see, can you see that sheep?
Yes.
Do you like bullion stitches?
Is that what that is? Oh no.
Oh.
Yes, it is.
Oh no.
Oh, with the right needle, Gary, you can do bullion stitches.
I like
promise
bullion,
you.
but I don't know if I like them that much.
Here, I'm gonna. I just looked up so people can see the cover of the book. Ohio is My Dwelling Place. Schoolgirl
There you go.
embroideries. Yeah.
Sue did an earlier book, but this is the complete book. And there's a few people that continue to collect information on Ohio samplers, like me. But yeah, that's a great book to have.
So there it is, folks. If you want to get it.
Yes.
There, Sharon's with me. I don't get it. I live in Ohio and not that fascinating. Okay. Thank you. I'm not nuts. Okay.
Ah, well, I'm a big fan of Pennsylvania samplers too.
Oh, wait. Wait. I went away from you. Coming back
Oh,
to you.
go ahead.
There we go. No, go ahead.
It's
Show.
okay.
You're back.
Go ahead. All right.
Yep.
There we are.
Oh,
Look at
I
those
don't know why
trees.
Mhm. Well, I'm a big fan of 8-pointed stars. I just think they're fun. That symbol goes back, 5,000 years to the Coptic embroideries of Egypt.
you find
There
the
you
most
go.
fascinating samplers, I'll tell you.
I try. This is Emma Keltner. She's from Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. And she's in the top 10 list.
Of ones to chart, is that what
To
the-
chart, yes. And just so you can see the backside, the colors are
Wow.
pretty terrific. And I always
Wow.
do from the backside. Choose my colors.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, there we go. This is my model of Ruth Passmore.
Mm.
And she was a student of her aunt, Susan Pusey Harvey, from the Bee Wine School, otherwise known as the Brandywine School in Wilmington, Delaware. I wrote a lot about her, not just in my chart back, but in this book,
Mhm.
Wrought with Careful Hands. This was an exhibit book from the Biggs Museum, and you can still get it from the Biggs Museum in Dover, Delaware, or you can get it from Lynn Anderson of the Sampler Archives. Okay. And we wrote even more about it as we learned more about that in the Delaware Discoveries book. Okay, there's that one. So Ruth's sampler chart was in Sampler and Antique Needlework Quarterly. And then I also have it anytime now, hard copy, for anyone that would like it too. And the reason I'm showing you this again is because I bought another sampler. Imagine that.
No.
I want
Came
to
out.
go live at Barbara's house.
Okay, I think you can see this
Yep.
without too much glare. This is an earlier sampler taught in by Susan Pusey Harvey before she moved to Wilmington while she was living in Lancaster County, really close to Chester County, Sudbury. She was teaching up there. And I'm thrilled to have this one. I got this last month, in May at an online auction. And it came with another sampler. This one was exciting enough to get this one, an early piece. And I probably won't chart this one. Maybe I'll chart parts of it because there's so much family information that most people don't like to stitch all that, or they could put their own information in. And I do know all about the family and the girls, and so
I was going to say for you, a sampler like that is just a godsend in terms of being able to get the history.
Oh yeah, the history and adding to the story. But the exciting thing was, so I get this sampler, which I really wanted, and I got a second sampler, and I didn't know anything about it until I got it home, until it arrived, and I found out. Here we go. It's a Vermont sampler, Gary, and they're Lynn Anderson is in the process of working with a lot of the museums in Vermont, documenting the samplers. And because it hasn't been done yet, we know there were a lot of schools and whatnot. But so I'm really excited about this sampler. There's a little girl in the center there.
Wow.
Oh, yes.
But prior to the auction, I hadn't even bothered to check out who she was because you couldn't read her name
Oh,
on here. It was so light. I mean, I'm sure you can't read that.
no.
No. The backside's not much better, but under magnification, I was able to read her name, when she was born, her family, all the above. How we look? Oh, we're doing well on
Oh
time.
yeah, you're good. Imagine
Yeah.
imagine UPS day at when the UPS truck drives up to Barbara's house. Oh jeez.
Well, actually, Gary, if it's within a day's drive, I go get them.
Do you?
Oh,
Because I had a couple get lost in the mail last year.
Oh no.
And that one was from Massachusetts, and I didn't feel like driving all the way to Massachusetts, and I should have because it took like 3 months to get to me.
Oh,
Finally, it got here.
oh, at least it wasn't completely lost. Oh man.
No. I don't know if you're familiar with Glee Kruger. She was one of the first people to write about samplers. She wrote the catalog on the Kapnick samplers back in the 80s, one of the biggest auctions there was. And she's highly thought of. She passed away a few years ago. I wasn't able to afford some of her very wonderful samplers, but I did get one from her, and that's this cute little one.
Hmm.
oh,
I don't know. Can you?
Yep.
a little girl on it.
No, that's not the one.
Yep.
There, that's a little bit better, isn't it? Yeah,
Yep.
There we go. All right. So I will do her eventually. Her name is Hannah Wolger, or Wolger, from 18 something or other. She took out the last two digits.
Oh, a
Yeah.
vanity sampler. Then.
Yeah.
Yes, we can call it a vanity sampler. Yeah, there, that's better.
Oh, we
Very
got
excited about
Barbara.
this
We got
find.
we got pictures. We got pictures of the red zebra sampler. We got to make sure we get that in.
Oh, okay, sure. Go ahead. We can go there.
Yeah. Let me go to that. So this is Barbara on her porch with the original.
That's right. That's the day I came home with it. We went up to New York State, just over the Connecticut line, to go pick her up. She's huge. She was on 22 count, even weave fabric. I'm going to call it a canvas. It's not. I didn't have it tested, so I'm not quite sure what it's made out of, but it's a combination of something. You can see how big she is.
Yeah. Now, when you make these drives, does your husband go with you, or is he long ago quit doing that?
Oh no, he wants to come.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's a road trip. He's happy to come.
Oh,
He's
okay.
happy.
That's
He
good.
likes to drive. Although I'd be happy to drive myself. And there you can see the two together, the antique and the one that I worked on, 40 count. And I didn't use a hand-dyed linen. I just used Winchell linen, 40 count, sandstone, tea-dyed. It's the same name, goes by either name. You can put it on anything you like. I thought it was really close to the original. And it was in my stash, so that's what we used.
Well, those reds held up remarkably well through the history.
Yeah. Well, since they are wool, they would. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And the text was in silk, and she had so many colors. I think there's like 37 colors here. So I went with DMC on the model because, I like my peeps.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
I've actually had a couple of people ask me for an ink conversion. I haven't made one.
Yeah.
So
So the ones you were showing, how many of those are going to be charted here? The
ones I've shown
Ohio
you?
ones. Yes.
I would say most of them. The Ohio ones will
Okay.
definitely be charted. It's just that one's going to take a little bit more time. So, and I have some histories to finish up for Nashville, and then I will finish charting that one. The whole
Okay.
center is all charted, and I'm going to have to work off of it in spokes to line things up. So,
Oops.
Now this is here's some detail on the red zebra one. Look at those colors. Wow.
yeah, the little girl or boy, take your pick. I'm not quite sure. All the different flowers in the center towards the bottom of that bouquet, I couldn't really tell what they were. Definitely a morning glory, and um, the lily in the center and the roses. But and to be honest, I didn't even know there was a little lady on the horse there until I got her home
No.
because she didn't show up
Oh.
in the antique. So, and I'm not quite sure what kind of critters are on the lawn. They could be sheep, they could be dogs. It's probably sheep, but she put little red blankets and little red toes on them all. So she had to have red on every animal. And the
Oh,
deer
that's
is so
funny.
unique. Yeah, the deer, the stag is so unique. At first, I thought it had a Scandinavian blanket on it. Somebody else thought it was a cityscape. That one got me. But why not? So, yeah, there you go. Kind of hard to tell what it is from a distance.
Yeah.
But yeah, little Norwegian Christmas deer. I don't know what you want to call it. But
Boy, colors just everywhere. Holy smokes.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, she had fun.
There you go, Beth.
Yeah, and you can thank Kimberly Nugent of
Oh.
Samplers Not Forgotten for getting this one done right away because she bugged the heck out of me. And that's okay because we do that to each other all the time.
The one I've seen it on Instagram. I've seen it show up on the Instagram feed, and that zebra. It's the zebra that gets me.
Yes, yes.
That red and white zebra.
Uh-huh. Because I've
just
never
love it.
seen a red and white zebra. Well, I've actually, I'll give you some information in the chart pack about zebras because, I couldn't tell you much about the sampler maker because there were too many of them living in England at the time. And I'm not about to just pick one, as Jim tells me I should just do. No. But that's the ongoing joke. So, there are some reddish brown zebras, but I've never seen an orange, salmon, red, white, and whatever color those are. So I think she had a great time. That's one of the reasons I fell in love with this sampler right away. I mean, and I have a thing for puffy sleeve girls of that time period,
All right. So how many colors again on this sampler?
I think 37. So there's two main reds.
Oh.
And then some other, offshoots of that. So she really had a good time changing up colors in her, I'm going to call them holly leaves, because they look like holly leaves a little to me and berries.
Yeah, I was just studying that border. That's all over the place. Yeah.
It is. She had a good time with that.
Yep.
And actually, I had a good time stitching it. I really did. I still, like I said, though, even charting it and stitching it, I don't know exactly what's going on the bottom of that bouquet. It's just a whole bunch of stuff. It is what it is.
There's a plan in there somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, all right. It's sort of a flower.
Kind of a leaf.
Yeah,
I
not
don't
quite sure.
There you go. Now you can see her a little better.
Yeah.
Oh, funny.
Oh boy.
And there,
Let her
did you
imagination go
catch?
wild.
Yeah, there's a little cat in there too. Next
There
to
is?
next to the blue dressed person.
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
And then what's this? A bird sitting on a lamp.
Yeah, hard to see, but that's what she did. So sitting on a flower or a lamp or whatever you want to call it.
And the little person
Yeah.
by the sheepdog.
I'm going with a little shepherd there, or
Okay.
tending his flock of critters, whatever they are. Red blanketed little white animals.
Yeah. Wow. That's fun.
Oh.
It is a fun piece, and I
Yeah.
figured it was perfect for summer.
Yep. Yep. Let's see, was that? Yeah, I think it was all of them.
More of the flower.
Yeah. There, Jennifer. Jennifer, stitch just that for make a little pillow out of it. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep, very cute.
Yep. Is that all? Did we get all of them on that you sent me? Yeah, that was it.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
So back to you.
Okay. Well, you know how I love different types of Quaker samplers, and this one popped up in an auction, and it's from the Bristol School in Pennsylvania, Bristol, Pennsylvania, just outside of Philadelphia. I don't want to get the glare on it. I'm sorry about the glare. I haven't taken her apart yet. This is actually in the original frame, I'm pretty sure. And the date on here is 1817. There are not too many of these known from this school.
Uh-huh.
Amy Finkel has some on her website if you check her catalogs, but not quite like this. So she'll be done soon too. And
you think that's
nice.
the original frame too? Huh? Wow.
oh yeah, you don't usually see the original frame. I thought it was a little too bulky at first, but then my frame person, Jim, and Woodman, told me it is conserved, but again, this is directly on glass that I have to change out to archival glass and get a spacer on it. But I'll put it back in this frame.
Mm-hmm.
It just might get thicker in the back because I have to make it better. And then another sampler that I picked up this last year on eBay, and it's because they were cleaning out their closets and they were downsizing, and I recognized it right away as a fruit and flower sampler from one of two schools in Northeast Maryland or in Newark, Delaware. And there's no doubt that she went to one of those schools. So I bought it right away because it was a buy it now, and I picked it up. And when I met the people, we met along Route 301 because she lived in Middleton and I'm in Queenstown. It was kind of, well, she actually came farther than halfway. But when we did meet up, she, is that funny? We opened up our, our trunks on our cars and we,
right. Yep.
Yeah, envelopes and giving each other our goodies. Anyhow, when we met up, she gave me all kinds of family names. She didn't think this was a family piece. Her mother was a collector of all kinds of antiques. And to be honest, she didn't know for sure. And so I have been able to trace Miss Emily Fulton to her family. And I have let her know. She doesn't want it back. She's happy with me having it. But because I did offer it back if she wanted it, and she said no, she just doesn't have the room or the space for it. But she's happy to know that it was a family piece. Now, whether her mother knew it was a family piece, we'll never know. Her mother passed away, so we can't ask her, since her mother did buy antiques in the area. So I
want the first copy of that chart, Barbara. Holy smokes!
You do?
I gotta have
okay.
that. Yeah.
there is a lot of freestyle embroidery here.
That's all right.
You can
I
do
still
it,
want
Gary.
it. That's fine.
You
I
can
want
do it. And I will chart it so you can easily count it.
Yeah, see, Beth, even Barbara says I can do it. Take that.
Yeah, you can. I got my, I've talked about my model stitcher, John, who's in his 80s now, and I got him to do it years ago. He got beyond the cross stitch, so
Yeah,
it
guys can
wasn't
do
just
this
me.
stuff. Guys can do this
Oh, you
stuff.
can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Quick question. How
Yeah.
did you know? How did you figure I think it's the Messiah petite sampler was a Quaker when you saw it?
The Messiah. I'm sorry, I don't.
Not Messiah, Matha, or is it the
This
Martha
one?
Petite? Was the
I'm-
Quaker sampler?
All right, there's so many different kinds of Quaker samplers. This one is typical Quaker motif, an alphabet. I need more info.
Yeah,
How did
I
I
do
know?
too. Sorry.
That's okay. How did I know which one was Quaker?
Yeah. Yeah. Could you retype the name?
Martha
Because I'm
Pettit?
getting this up.
Oh, Martha Pettit. Martha Pettit. Well, that's, I hate to say it, but it's a typical Quaker sampler from a Quaker school. We know that she was Quaker. We found out who she was, where she worshipped, what Quaker monthly meetings she went to. We recognized right away who she was. A lot of the homework was done already on Martha from Amy Finkel, because my good friend Cindy bought the sampler from her, and Cindy, who is my library goddess and is into genealogy, and she doesn't buy a sampler without knowing everything about that sampler maker. So I don't know what else to tell you how I knew it was Quaker. The motifs, knowing where she went to church, her family, because we've got other kinds of Quaker samplers too. I put this one up today on Facebook and in my Instagram. This is a Quaker sampler from 1785, and this type of sampler was taught by Elizabeth Marsh from the early 1720s. You'll see samplers like this also taught by Quakers in England too. Well, that's where she came from. Elizabeth came from England, and she taught her daughter, and her daughter Anne continued her the most famous prestigious school in Florida, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, up until the mid 1790s. She retired to Chester County for a couple years, and she passed away just within a few years of retiring. She was living with her niece in Chester County. But this band here, this blue band that you see that has stars and whatnot, that band has been published since the 1520 something, very early on. And it's been in samplers and in clothing and in household items for many centuries. So it's a very popular motif. So
Beautiful.
To me, that's one of the really cool things about these samplers is when you see stuff like that's been carried through generation after generation, and it's still
So when I say this is a typical Quaker sampler too from the time period. Later on starting in the 1750s, you see the medallions coming into play. Becoming more popular in the 1790s, into the first half of the 19th century too, at the different schools. The medallions, the simple flowers. This is what you see on typically. You don't normally see faces or people up in. I do have a couple Quaker samplers that have people on them. Sarah Comley, which is not in this room. I have to go hunt her down off the other walls in my library. And You don't normally see angels and things like that, but once in a while I do on a Quaker sampler. It's because she's either being taught by someone else or the teacher's a Quaker, but she's in a different school, different combination of things there. So
Okay, and so what's the name of this sampler? The one with
this,
the blue band?
okay, this is Mary Reese, and she
Mary
was from
Reese.
Germantown. And I got this sampler along with 3 others that descended into the same Quaker family. And Sarah Comfort is another one from this family, as are the 2 Borton girls, Lydia Borton and Elizabeth Borton. They're from New Jersey. And if I can put this down, I can show you.
All right, and Barbara, what's your website?
I'm getting it. I'm getting it.
You're getting it?
It's Queenstown-sampler-designs.com. So this one is the Sarah Comfort, same family.
Oh,
And this was probably done at the Plymouth School, just outside Philadelphia, because that's where her family was from. Just next to the Germantown area. And I'm going to have another one from this school coming out very soon. I just got it back from the framers, but it's not published yet. So, and I have to go across the room to find it somewhere in another pile.
Another pile. Yeah,
Another
I'm gonna-
pile.
I'm going to put.
do you have any Mexican samplers coming up?
They're in the pile, but I don't know that I've charted any recently. And one of the things I wanted to do was my own original Christmas take on Feliz Navidad, because I have a lot of fun motifs on a lot of my antiques that not necessarily people will want to do the whole sampler, because it's remnants. It's not really a whole sampler. So I'm going to take motifs from that and maybe make some fun things. Put a couple sombreros on a snowman. Who knows?
Why not? Why not?
Sure.
A little bit of fun.
Yeah.
But as for the reproduction Mexicans, I do have some in the queue. I just haven't charted them yet.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, unfair question.
Oh, chart them. Chart them.
Beth wants them all.
That's
Unfair,
what's all. Okay.
unfair question, but in the books there up above you, what would be
Yes.
what would be, say, 2 or 3 books that you would really recommend if people want to dig into history?
Well, especially for Quaker samplers, you cannot go wrong, and you must have this one by Mary Brooks. She's the archivist at the Westtown School.
Threads of Useful
And
Learning.
Yes, Threads of Useful Learning by Mary Brooks.
Okay.
That's got it. That's a must-have. And it's older, but I've always got it on my side because I have to. This is Kimberly Smith Ivy's In the Neatest Manner, The Making of Virginia Sampler Tradition. Now, this is back in the 90s, but it's a great compilation. Whoops. Let's see. That's
So
better.
Kimberly Smith, Ivy, Ivey.
Ivey. She is what is her title? Well, she's director of textiles at Colonial Williamsburg. And it's probably a better title than I just gave her, but I've been working with Kim for a long time. Ever since I found another sampler similar to the one that's on this cover, the Elizabeth J.M. Mears sampler, which I can't get down because it's way up there.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I've been sending her lots of information on Virginia samplers when I find them online to make sure that they go back, they get into either her hands or
Yeah.
because,
Let me zoom in. What is the name on that now again?
In the Neatest Manner, the Making of the Virginia Sampler Tradition. You might even be able to find this online. But you should have a hard copy of it in your own. And I know you can get it at, if you go to bookfinders.com, I'm sure you'll be able to find it secondhand.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So that's one I have to have. And then the original book from 1921, American Samplers by Bolton and Co. This is definitely online, and you can get all kinds of copies. You can see that it is sort of like a Bible because of all the little tabs I have.
Uh-huh.
And I use it all the time for research because I always look to see if one of the samplers that is coming up for auction has been documented by these wonderful ladies.
Oh,
So
Bolton and Co. COE.
Bolton and Co. Yeah, American Samplers, 1921, and they did a remake. Dover Publications did a remake in the 70s, and that's what I have in my hand. I have an original copy too, but I don't mess with that one. I think I have that one put away somewhere.
Look at all the
This one I can
look at
mess
all the post-its in there.
You can see it? Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, this is what we do. And okay, other books, other catalogs. Really, the Connecticut book by Susan Schwoller, Connecticut Needlework. Because I have a lot of Connecticut samplers, and I'm always researching them.
Who's
You
the
there?
author? What's the author?
I'll spell it. Her last name is Schoelwer, Susan Schwoller. She's actually in charge of the Mount Vernon Museum, where Washington had his place, Mount Vernon. Part of the museum. She's there now. She used to be the textile person at the the state of Connecticut. Yeah, state of Connecticut museum. Of course, I could be wrong, so I need to look that up, but something like that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. That's why she wrote it all about. And she had help from the Hubers, Stephen and Carol Hubers, too. The collectors down in Old Saybrook. I have 2 samplers from Old Saybrook. And those are coming up soon. Those are very cool.
Oh,
Wow.
But the other book,
See, I
several books.
knew I'd open a can of worms if I asked about the books.
Told
Keep them coming.
Yep. Keep them coming. Okay, New Jersey Samplers, exhibit, Marty and Dan Campanelli did a Morven Museum and Garden book. It's still available. If you go to the museum website.
Hail specimen of female art.
Yes, it's a big title. Hail Specimen of Female Art, New Jersey Schoolgirl Needlework, 1726 to 1860.
Wow.
Very worth it.
And the
That
author
was
is
one of the best exhibits I've ever been to for samplers. And then I have some older books.
Who's that author, Barbara?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, it's published by the Morven Museum and Garden, and one of the authors of married couple were the Campanellis, Dan and Marty Campanelli. And then there was also another Dan. Well, if you go to the Morven Museum and Garden in Trenton, they'll have it online.
Okay. Yep.
And then, of course, I have all the Maryland and Delaware and DC books too that I can't live without because I was a big contributor to them. I don't know why this is not working well.
That's all right.
There we go.
Yeah, we can see that. Yep.
Now I can see it. Okay. All right.
the cover on that's gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. This is a compilation of the sampler that I reproduced for the Queen Anne's County They have it in their collection, the Mary Horner sampler. It doesn't exactly look like this, but it's close because the publisher kind of messed with the motifs and changed it up a little bit, but it's similar. So we have that one. Oh, any
Excellent.
other questions? We got
No.
6 minutes.
I think we drained them out here.
Yeah.
Nooper wants to know your typical day. Yeah, is it
My
all
typical
samplers all the time, or?
No, there's gardening, there's weeding, there's
Okay.
cooking. I'm the cook in the house, but I don't cook so much in the summertime. It's usually out on the grill. In fact, tonight, I'm so excited. There's a food truck in the area that comes to a little. Now you need to realize I'm living in a reclaimed cornfield. This is all farmland around me, except for these 60 homes that are here. So a mile away is a college, and across the street from the college is a little, there's a 7-Eleven, but there's also a new beer place where a group of EMTs and policemen started a little, they're making their own beer. But the cool thing is, I'll get to this. The cool thing is, for dinner tonight, we are going to have hot lobster rolls because of this food truck that started up, and they come around every couple of weeks to this location. And I'm excited. So I'm not cooking tonight.
Okay.
Had nothing to do
I
with
can't blame
samplers. So yeah, food.
Is your like in a typical day? It seems like as much research as you do stitching and charting?
Okay, you broke up, but
Oh.
typical day depends whether I have a migraine or not. I usually start first thing in the morning because that's when I'm wide awake. I'll research for a while. I can't stitch as much as I used to because arthritis.
Yeah.
But I try to get in some stitching every day, but then I can go for days without stitching, and then I stitch for many days. It just depends on what I feel like doing that day because I have different things in different stages.
Uh-huh.
So it depends. I'm lucky that I can pick one, and that's what I do today. Whether I
Yeah.
stitch, whether I research, because sometimes when I research, the day goes by so quickly. The next thing you know, I got to cook dinner.
Yeah. All right, Barbara, thank you. I'm going to put us all back on. I think I'm going to do
Oh.
that. I hope I'm going to do that.
Well, I got to move you.
There it is.
Well, I hope I was coherent.
Oh, that was terrific. Yes, that was terrific. There's best threads right there. Yep.
Yeah, I get to see those. I'm going to flip you back around. See if you can get. Oh, wrong way. Didn't want to see my ceiling.
There we go. All right, Barbara, thank you. Thanks, Kathy. Thanks, Natalie. That was quite an afternoon. Hope folks enjoyed World Embroidery Day, at least 3 hours of it, and got some stitching in. I know Jennifer did. You probably finished something.
Yes. This whole section.
Yeah, see?
Looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
See, and I was looking at samplers and stitching
Yeah.
and
I was looking up, but I was stitching
Yeah, you
too.
can see Jennifer over on the side like a little machine, just cranking them out. Yeah. Yep. All right. So thanks, Barbara, Natalie, Kathy. Really appreciate it. Always. Hope everybody enjoyed the afternoon, and thanks for joining us. And support these people. Check out their websites. Take their classes. Queenstown Sampler Designs. I know Kim at Sassy Jacks carries every single one she has, so check it out. All kinds of good stuff obviously coming up. Thanks everybody, and we'll be back next Wednesday live again. So all right,
Yeah.
bye.
Bye.
bye.